It- I am recording.
Okay.
Doc, are you
Just a fa-
ready for this secondhand Lions bullshit that happened to my face at the barbershop today?
Yeah, so you're telling me, let's do a little setup
Mm-hmm.
here. You're telling me that in celebration of our season finale here and our big movie fight, you decided that you wanted to go face sculpting. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and after doing all the work of selecting the perfect face sculpt and finding a barber to do the face sculpt, professional. This is not
Mm-hmm.
you working out of your bathroom mirror. You got a professional, and that professional
Mm-hmm.
failed you. And you have
Mm-hmm.
chosen, rather than do what most people with a bad haircut do, which is cut it off and let it grow fresh, you decided to keep it just long enough to see my reaction to it. And we're doing that right now. That's what you're saying?
Well, one, to see your reaction, because yes, it is funny. But
Okay.
two, I made my bed. I said I was doing it for the finale, so I'm doing it for the finale.
What the actual Tony Stark fuck is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like the bad guy in a French romance. What is going on here? What were you trying to do?
I look like my grandfather told me tales of the McCain brothers.
Why? You know what? I'm half a mind to say we need to stop the show and you need to go shave right now. We
I
cannot go
can't.
on like this.
I can't. I have to. I have to. I made my bed. It was a
Uh,
decision. I, dude, I look like a dragster or like not like a drag star,
oh,
but
yeah.
I look like somebody on a motorcycle burnt out on my face.
No, you know what you look like? You look like in uh a Latino gang drama. You're the guy who's trying really hard to suck up to the boss, but the boss hates you because you're such a
And
suck up. That's who you look like. That's
I literally look like a white guy trying to be a fool. Welcome to Heist. I'm Bradley Hackworth, joined by Jonathan Ems.
hello, fellow humans.
And we are jumping in for our season 1 finale, which is going to be an epic competition of movie fights. We are going to try to make them as short as humanly possible because we have so many.
So many.
Just in our preliminary round, we have 22 that we have to get through. So, what do you say we get through them or get to them?
Well, I mean, real quick, I do want to just say it took me a moment to process this, but you said earlier
Mm-hmm.
that only 1% of podcasters make it this many episodes in.
Yeah,
And
only 1%.
I don't know how I feel about being a one percenter now.
Well, considering
So,
the fact that we're both still broke, I don't think it's that bad.
okay, all right. I can
We're
live with it then. All right.
we're a pretty garbage version of the one percenters, but you know what? Whatever. All
Right.
right. So the way
Do
that
it.
we're going into it is it's going to be each one is going to be a competition of which one had the better story, which one succeeded more technically, and then which one we just recommend overall. Like which one between the two actually is going to come out on top. And like complete morons, we're starting with two of our favorite movies. And that is not okay. We should not,
Yeah.
like, it should not have been one of my favorites and one of your favorites. Should have been, hey, this is one of my favorites. What do you got this week? Because going up with two favorites, this is going to get nasty.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what do
Might
you
be a
say
little
we
bit.
just go ahead? Go ahead.
Might be taking some things personal.
Maybe, but
Yeah.
in the interest of moving things along, I might be a little bit forgiving with a lot of stuff, and
Oh, good. So I
I
don't have
may
to be.
actually.
Great.
Well, fuck that. Okay, that's your position. All right, no, let's get it going. Let's get it going. All right, fair enough. Round one of our preliminary match is going to be Bound versus A Low Down Dirty Shame. Low Down
Mm-hmm.
Dirty Shame starring Keenan Ivory Waynes and Jada Pinkett Smith. Bound starring Gina Gershon and Jennifer Tilly. Now,
And Joey Pants. Don't forget Joey Pants.
I'm just going with the top
All
two.
right, yeah.
Dude, we got interest of time, and who the
And the,
when we get
and
to the paper, I mean, oh my god.
yeah, and that's the thing is not because I remember even when we did this episode, we got into it about which one of these was a better movie at the time, and we did not come to a conclusion. This was our first like true like butting heads moment. Was which of those two was a better movie?
And ironically, we chose to do that for episode 1, so that was fun. Let's get into this again and see how it goes. So, first off, the better story. Oh, this sucks because first round, first question. I don't know how to answer this because one, Bound was a good story. However, it is still not clear.
Mm,
It is still not completely clear. They did the indie
no,
film thing and they left it open ended, and you don't really know
but at
what
the
Jennifer
same
Tilly
time,
did.
maybe you don't really know. But here's the thing: just in what we do know, the series of events between her and Gina Gershon, and what she did with Caesar, you know, as her boyfriend, the way she played him and played the other gang members, that was like Hitchcock level storytelling right there. Even if you don't know exactly what happened, just the series of events that leave you both confused and intrigued at the same time as it goes on, like it was incomparable to, I'm sorry, Low Down Dirty Shame was a pretty run of the mill detective story. It was a good one. I will bear.
Okay,
I will grant you that. But there were no surprises in that movie. I'm sorry to say.
No, there were no real ultimate surprises in that one. It was just done so well. So, okay, this is what I'm gonna give you. Like, right off the bat, as the better story,
Mm-hmm.
I'll give it to Bound.
Okay. Yep. I agree.
The better technical, like how they performed in the technical versions and like what they were aiming for, how they succeeded. Bound was a trial run for the Matrix, so a bunch of the things that they tried, it was fun. It was experimental and all that. But a Low Down Dirty Shame did the detective noir kind of betrayal revenge story
Right.
better than most. Better than most, more entertaining than most.
And that's fair.
The better story, Bound. The technical win, I'm giving it to a Low Down Dirty Shame. The one that we're going to recommend, give your justification for Bound.
Because it was a groundbreaking film in multiple ways. Low Down Dirty Shame, yes, technically good, but it was technically good on its template, with the difference being the cast that it had to play its roles. There was nothing astoundingly groundbreaking about it. It was kind of an updated retread of Shaft in a lot of ways. Yes, it was fun. It was not groundbreaking. Bound was groundbreaking in multiple dimensions.
I will give you that. Okay. As much as I hate to kind of say it, to put it this way, because A Low Down Dirty Shame is one of my favorite movies of all time, I am actually going to give this one to Bound. So, Bound is going to be our winner for round 1. Round 2, Dutch versus The Paper. The better story, that's kind of a tough one for me because The Paper, the story was a day in the life of. Who was I really supposed to care about the most? Because the only one I cared about in the entire movie was Marissa Tomei.
Well, that's the thing. I think to a certain degree, you were kind of supposed to care about everybody for different ways. You were supposed to care about Henry and Marissa Tomei, and that's kind of what makes the conflict of their marriage falling apart because of this so painful. Is because they're both right, you know, and you relate to both of them on this. That was kind of the point there. You even kind of relate to Phil in the chair, like his whole thing. Like, I'm sitting in a shitty chair right now going like, I get it, Phil, man, this is important. So
yeah, but I mean, all of that, like, that was all so fast and it went by so fast that I didn't, like, none of it really sat with me enough to care about. Like, on rewatches, maybe the more and the more. Dutch, just with those two, what they were going through, I did care a lot about what Dutch was going through, what he had to do, the things that he had to overcome. Like, him as a character, I felt his struggle, I related to his struggle, and I was more in with his character than any of the characters in the paper. Even though they were like, so this is like the exact opposite of where I'm going with round one, because I'm giving Dutch the story win because I cared about every character in this movie, in that movie. Everyone. Either I cared about them or I hated them appropriately, exactly how I was supposed to. The paper, technical brilliance.
Yeah, no, that's true. That is a far and away, hands down.
Yeah, there's no argument.
Yeah. Um, do I want to concede on the story thing? I'm not 100% sure I do.
But what was the thing is the paper had so many stories.
That's the thing. And it had so many stories, but they all intertwined. That was the thing. Is like there is no point where you get lost in all of the stuff that's going on in this movie because every single one of those multiple storylines all weave together pretty seamlessly.
Well,
So
the only reason they do is because they all work together. It's not like they were all like stumbling upon the dollar bill story. Like it wasn't like that. It was where they all worked together. So they were kind of forced to all intertwine. It wasn't the story that made that happen. It was where they worked.
Okay.
So like I said, I really cared about like a couple of them. That was it. But the pregnancy, what was going on with Marissa Tomei, they used gimmicks to get me to care about them. Dutch didn't use gimmicks. It was the story.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I'm giving like Dutch story, paper technical.
I mean, I suppose I don't entirely agree, but I guess I can't fight well enough on that because I don't even really remember Dutch that well. That's kind of, and it's not fair for me to compare that considering I've seen the paper like 1,000 times. So
yeah, that is a little bit rough.
It's like I could sit here and talk, argue the paper for a while, but like, yeah,
I still have to give the paper what I'm going to be recommending
Yep.
to move forward because I mean the paper just wins.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. Dutch, for me, loved it, fun. I know it didn't really land for you, but the paper was better. That is a
speaking of which, actually, I know
perfect film.
I know we're pressed for time here, but actually, there is something important about the paper that I need to bring up.
Bring it up.
It's available on Netflix. Someone somewhere got the memo, like, oh shit, people are talking about this movie. Let's go ahead and buy it and put it on Netflix. You're welcome, Ron Howard. I did this for you.
Oh, I think I know who's winning this one.
What's next?
Next up is Freeway versus the Bone Collector.
Oh, damn. That's a tough one.
For you. I'm sorry, man. Bone Collector wins. This one flat out straight up all the way.
Really?
Way wins. Oh my god, yes. Let's go with the story beat first. You have what happens to Denzel Washington's character, Link, as like wow, the character development that he gets before even like the 3-minute mark of this movie after the credits. But those credits, by the way, there's story in the credits, there's story in the background, there's story in the characters. Like every part about this, I cared about every single damn character in this movie, but the way that Angelina Jolie and Denzel brought me into their characters, hardcore. The relationship between Denzel, Queen Latifah, and Ed O'Neill, everybody. I was with it the whole way through.
Okay.
What do you got?
Well,
for the other side?
I mean, it's not that I disagree with anything you're saying. It's just I seem to recall when we did that episode and we were talking about Freeway, I seem to recall you having something akin to a transcendental experience when it came to Freeway, of all of the storytelling and filmmaking.
So what you were saying is, I basically, like you were saying, when I watched this, I had like a transcendental experience I was really going into this. And the thing was, I had a hardcore reaction to it. Yes. This is like, and that was the thing about this movie was it needs to come with a trigger warning for people who have like endured like trauma and all that. But the thing about this, it is a movie for people who have been with or been through trauma. If you don't have a dark sense of humor, if you haven't lived through a bit of the ringer, if the shit hasn't hit the fan for you and you have not been one of the ones that learns to step aside when that happens, this movie is not for you. The Bone
Okay.
Collector, way like the story on that is more universal.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
So
Okay. All right. I concede that.
So I give the Bone Collector the story.
Yep.
Technical,
Okay.
the technical win. Oh, do you even have an argument for the Freeway over the Bone
No,
Collector?
no, no, I know. And you know what? It's not fair because we're talking like a $20 million budget difference. So that's not even a fair fight there. Let's be honest.
Well, I don't know because there's gonna be some later on the episode that, as we're talking about it, yeah, the indie film, like what they did with what they had, beat what the others did with what they had. So
That is fair. That is okay. That's true. But yeah,
I don't
no,
know.
I agree. On a very technical side, yes, it's obviously the Bone Collector rings around Freeway. As much as I hate to admit it, but it is true. Yes.
Just is what it is.
Yep.
But, but, for the dark sense of humor, for the people that really like that have that morbid bit that have been through that, I still recommend Freeway. However, for all
if
those
you're
same people, I also
right,
recommend the Bone Collector.
yeah.
That was a
Well,
dark
it's
week
not.
of coverage.
Yeah, it really was. But it sounds like we don't even need the recommendation tiebreaker because it's a 2 for 2 on Bone Collector. So it sounds like they're the hands down winner on that one,
It
which I
really
do not
is.
appreciate at all because I would have liked to see Freeway get a little bit further in this. It's a good movie.
I lost the first 2 rounds. Suck it up, Buttercup. Next up, it is Reefer Madness versus Master and Commander.
Oh my god! Oh my
Yeah,
god!
this one's gonna be
Oh,
rough. This one's gonna be rough.
sure.
So let's just
Tyson
start.
versus Holyfield. Oh my god!
Mm, All right. So let's better story. Uh,
I mean, you got to go. I mean, but there's the thing. The point of Reefer Madness was that it was a shit story. That was the entire point of it.
that
So
is
that's
true. So they did what they meant to do
yeah,
very well, but Master and Commander had a better story.
yeah,
It just did. It does not
yeah,
matter how much I enjoyed Reefer Madness. It does not much. It just doesn't matter. Master and Commander was too good.
yeah. It really was.
Everything about it. The real fight is the technical win because that is the most amazing movie musical that I have ever seen. The transitions, how they did everything.
Mhm,
The Mary Sunshine is Mary Sunshine
mhm.
No More. That
Yeah. Oh yeah.
single performance, oh my god, that one thing puts it up as the contender for everything in Master and Commander, which says so much about that scene.
Yeah.
However, Peter Weir directing Master and Commander, this man,
That's the thing. Like, and I think that's kind of where you got to win it. Is that as good as Reefer Madness was, they had the advantage of shooting on land.
mm,
And Master and Commander pulled off everything that it pulled off on the fucking water. I'm sorry, as I hate to say it, but Master and Commander kind of takes it away on that one too.
there you go. This round goes to Master and Commander, and
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
that I'm betting that one hurt.
yeah, it really does.
Let's just go ahead. Let's do this fight. All right,
Okay, all right.
fight. All right, better story.
Predestination.
Predestination or Grandma's. Predestination, obviously
Yeah,
the arguably transgender time travel story versus the 40-year-old white dude getting kicked out of his house because he smokes too much weed and has to go live with his grandma.
Right.
We care more about Predestination.
Yeah.
Easily. The technical win,
Predestination.
Predestination. The one we're going to recommend moving forward, Predestination. That wasn't even, I mean,
That was practically a ringer almost.
it really was, which just sucks because I actually love Grandma's Boy, even though I know you hated it. But I feel bad because I didn't even get to talk about it. I didn't get to give it any love. Like that wasn't a competition. That wasn't an argument. There was nothing there. That was just rude. Skeleton Key and Willy's Wonderland.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was my revenge pick. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, how'd that go for you?
I felt really bad about that, man. Like it haunted me the whole like immediately after I told you to watch that movie, turned off the camera and I just went, "Oh god, he's going to hate me forever. I'm a bad person. What have I done?"
And yet, I made it work.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Just to rub salt in my wounds, you rolled with it. You talked about the movie, you pointed out all the things that you could like about it. Like you
I know how to
you,
and.
Yeah, you really got you made sure that I never did anything like that ever again. Hardcore.
I made you wallow in a movie you hated for longer than a movie that you kind of enjoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. No, Skeleton Key was all right. Yeah.
Which I found out one of our audience members came through and like dropped a comment. They're like, "Have you done the Skeleton Key?" And then they scrolled down and then they got it like, "Yes."
Nice.
I was like,
nice.
That felt kind of nice.
Yeah.
All right. The better story. I'm going to say Skeleton Key because
it has a story.
there's a story in Willy's Wonderland. It's just really dumb. I mean, there's really nothing I can really say to really bolster that up or anything like that. It was dumb, stupid fun. That is all that was. And it wasn't a lot of fun, but it was just dumb, stupid fun. So on the story aspect, Kate Hudson being trapped in a different person's body, all this stuff, the slave and hoodoo aspects of all this.
Right.
Yes. Skeleton Key absolutely wins. The technical wins. Skeleton Key.
Key, hands down.
That swamp that the movie was filmed in, that swamp does not exist. They made that swamp,
Right.
They enhanced it with CG, everything like that, just to make sure there were no snakes or gators or anything.
I remember you telling me that when we did that episode, and I did not believe you when you told me that. I was like, bullshit, that was the most beautiful, lush swamp I'd ever seen in my life. There's no way that was fake.
They
and
did
you were
fantastic.
Like, you showed me the receipts on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, story-wise, technical win, and what we're recommending moving forward,
Skeleton Key.
The
100%.
Skeleton Key.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That there's no argument, there's no
that was a real painful couple of weeks for us for that show.
I'm gonna have to admit that, yes. See, the thing that's gonna get fun is when we get into the quarterfinals.
Yeah, no, that's gonna be that. Yeah, those are gonna be.
That's where these are gonna start getting a little bit longer and actually worth watching. Ooh, this one might be a little tough, actually.
What do we got?
We got Tombstone versus There's Something About Mary.
Oh, okay. All right. We might have some discussion on that.
All right. So, story-wise, character-wise, who did you give a shit about in Tombstone? Like, not who did you like? Who did you care about? Like, I know you cared about Matty Earp.
Matty Earp, and yeah, I remember, Matty Earp got done dirty in that movie, for sure. Virgil Earp also, even though historically speaking, he wasn't the oldest, but he was acting like the older brother in this. Is that right? Yeah. So yeah, I kind of felt for him.
Well, I don't know if he was historically older or younger. I don't know.
Okay. I seem to remember something about that in like another documentary that I saw or something like that. They mentioned that he was actually like the middle kid or something. I may be remembering wrong. That's the point, you know. Um, but I mean, but that's a tough comparison because we are literally talking about like, you know, how do we compare like a adaptation to historical events as a story? Like then we can't really say what do we think about the story as much as how do we feel the story of real events
Well,
was
that's why,
portrayed
like,
there.
that's where I'm gonna put that into the technical aspect
Okay, okay,
because like that. I mean, they did the Western, like, they did the Western perfect. They did,
right,
obviously. But going up against the Farrelly brothers, they did the comedy perfect.
yeah.
So that's a bit of a battle.
It's a
Story-wise,
tough one.
though, I was rooting for Ted, cared about Mary.
Mhm.
Um, there were times that I even rooted for the side characters. Like I was invested. Like they did a good job of actually getting me invested. I felt risk for some of them.
Mhm. Okay.
Tombstone, I liked the characters, never really cared about them though.
Okay.
That's kind of the difference. Like
Hmm.
everything Val Kilmer said, loved it to pieces. How they demonstrated the friendship between Earp and oh god,
Holiday.
Holiday. Yeah, how they showed their friendship and their relationship,
Mhm.
perfect. But I didn't care about them.
I see what you're saying. Okay. All right. All right. I feel you there.
So I
All
think
right.
I
Yeah.
got to give
I'm.
that to There's Something About Mary.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna have to agree. Yeah.
Now, the technical aspect, who did a
I
more
mean,
perfect job? Did they do a more perfect Western or did they do a more perfect comedy?
I would say they did a more perfect Western
I
because
would agree.
the Farrelly brothers comedy is very genre specific in that a lot of their gags tend to be, how do I put this?
I don't know.
They're bad on purpose.
Oh, like very
So
in your face, like the slapstick nature?
very, yeah, the slapstick nature of it, they break a lot of the technical rules in order, you know. Um and so I mean it's kind of tough call of are they just are they bad at things technically but it works because of their style of comedy, or are they just really really good at doing that kind of bad comedy?
I'd
It's
say
kind of
they're
a
really,
tough
really
call because
good at it because of how consistently they've done it.
that is a good argument. Yes. Okay. But
So I'm
then yeah, that
thinking,
brings us back into kind of equal territory here because they were kind of technically perfect in their genres then. Yeah.
yeah, that is kind of a toss up. And which one would I recommend? I still like which one I would recommend more. I still really don't know
See,
because there's
I'm
something about Mary that is a perfect comedy demonstrating the comedy of that era.
yeah.
So if you are trying to show somebody something, you know what? No, it's Tombstone. It's flat out
Yeah.
Tombstone because Tombstone you don't need a reason, you don't need a specific
That's the thing.
point.
That's what I was going to say. Is I was going to say Tombstone because Tombstone doesn't require you to sit next to the portrait and watching it and going saying you have to understand that back in the 90s, like it's not required for Tombstone.
No, okay.
You do
I
have to
don't think
do
that's
that.
required for the. I really don't think that's required for There's Something About Mary.
I do
But
kind of think it
I
is.
was alive back then, so I really can't say. And
Right.
I am not ready to advise my niece or nephew to watch this because neither of them have even reached 15 years old yet. So
Yeah.
I'll have to wait another decade to see how that really plays out. And but here's the thing.
You got to be at a
Okay.
bare minimum 15 for this movie for sure. Yeah.
Oh, easily, yeah. So but recommending Tombstone.
Yep.
Tombstone is going to take it.
Yep.
For everybody who has joined us, I mean, drop a comment. Which one of these would you actually prefer more as we're going through the full series? Let us know if you agree, disagree. Let me know how bad you
Which one
think
of us
my
do you
beard is.
which one of us do you think is so
Right.
completely off base? I imagine it's probably me. Most people have issues with my art film hoity-toityness. So, you know, but I stand by it.
Ooh, that was a great thing to say as prepping for this next one. Because, yeah, didn't have the most popular point of view on this one, Doc.
Oh, we're there. We're
We are
there.
there.
I don't. You know what? I think my opinion has already been expressed. I'm just going to sit back.
And just let me
No, you
take
know
all the
what?
heat.
What's the fun of that? What's the fun of that? No, I'm gonna just go ahead and repeat everything I said before, not verbatim because I know I said a lot, but
You
I'm
had a lot to say, and the whole time I was just sitting there going, oh God, I'm the one in charge of the comment section. So let's not totally replay that because we have more viewers now, more
okay. All right.
commenters,
I'll try to be a
and I
little
and I don't have
more
and I don't like I don't
diplomatic.
have a prescription of Xanax or Ozempic or in like I wait a minute, one of those neither of those are for depression. I don't know my drugs well
No,
enough.
no. Isn't Xanax like an antidepressant or a
That was
tranquilizer? It's a
anti-anxiety.
it's a tranquilizer. That's it. Yeah.
There you go. Okay. All right. So next round, Requiem for a Dream versus Don't Think Twice. Now, who did you care about more between these two? So that's the thing. I know you hated this movie,
Mm-hmm.
but did you care about them? Did you care about
No,
the mom?
no,
You didn't even care about the mom.
no,
Oh,
no.
she broke my heart, man. What happened to
Every
her? Her journey?
character,
Oh,
there were no characters in this movie. They were only caricatures.
they were one dimensional, yeah, but that was the point to tell the four different ways that, like the four most common ways that people go down this path and wind up as addicts and what can happen. That was the point of it, which dude, he nailed it. Like he did, like what he was doing as he was going through. He told that story, and yeah, I know you didn't like the editing style. I know you didn't like all that stuff. But a lot of that was done on purpose to give the audience the sense of anxiety that they were meant to have. When they did that junkie
No,
scene
I
in
think he
the
just
market,
no, I think he said that after the fact because he was bad at editing, and so he came up with a reason to
okay,
justify
that's
it
just
afterwards.
you drinking haterade. Like it did work. It didn't land on you, but for millions of other people, it did land. So, I mean, when he went through and he did that supermarket scene with all like real junkies, people shooting up, everything like that was real. He went for authenticity on the technical aspect. How can you say Don't Think Twice won over Requiem? It like,
Because it didn't give me a headache to watch.
but that was
For
what
starters,
Requiem's like point was. See, that's the thing. You don't like what the film intended to do because what it intended to do, it worked on you. You just didn't like it. So that's the thing. Like, but
I
because it did work on you, I have to give it that technical win
no,
because even though you didn't like it,
I
it
do
did what
not
it was
believe for
supposed
one
to.
second he intended to do that. I think he really was just shitty at his job
But when
and
you
made
compare
up a
it with
bunch.
everything else that he's done, it doesn't look like anything
I've
else that he's
only
done. So what
seen
was
one
that?
other movie that he did, and that was Pie, which he shot in black and white because black and white's so fucking deep. You know, so I'm sorry. He is. I said it before, and I will say it again. He is a film school fraud who makes movies that he, as a stupid person, thinks smart people will like.
See, you've only seen two of his movies though, so to have that opinion and to take that
And I'm
stance,
not sold on it. That's
that's
the thing. Is like
well,
it
that's the
doesn't make
thing.
the two movies of his that seen do not make me want to watch any more of his shit at all.
And that is fair. I think that like how harsh you are on that, I think that's way too fucking harsh. There's no way that I would ever put that
I
on there.
probably
He
wouldn't
did
have.
what he intended to do, and like it's just like every time that he has sat down with a goal to make a film, he has made the film that he wanted to make. Nobody has ever said anything otherwise. You go on that, like they all say, like his vision, what winds up on the screen is what he wanted to have happen. So what you're saying, there is zero evidence towards that except that you just hate the guy. And there's tons of evidence to say that that
You
is just his film style.
you told me yourself. That's the funny thing. Is like this was not something that I had to go find out about or did any research on. You brought it up yourself as a fun fact about this movie
What was
that
it?
he literally purchased another director's scene for this movie from an anime. He has no
Well, no, he
creativity.
had to buy the right. He had to buy the rights. No, that was the escape scene that Marlon Wayans when he was coming out of that. Like he wanted to do it, but because
No, it was the bathtub scene. You told me
the
it was the
bathtub scene.
you said it was the scene when Jennifer
Trying
Connelly
to
was in the
think.
bathtub. The
Oh
scene
yeah,
when Jennifer
because it was a shot for shot. Oh, get the fuck out of here, Doc. Just because you don't like the homage does not make it a problem.
No,
How
no, no.
many
It's me.
No, 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 no.
He
How many directors have gone through and done homages and gotten rights and gotten ability to do stuff for Hitchcock, for Tarantino, for all of these people to make sure that it's not a problem for them? That is standard practice to
except
make
it
sure that your shit doesn't get fucked because you're paying homage to something. There's
it's one
no
thing
way
that
you can hate this guy
it's one thing
specifically
it's
on a
an
standard practice.
no, no, no. It's not that I hate him on a standard practice. It's because it wasn't an homage. He just wanted to use that shot because he couldn't
How
come
is
up
it
with his
not an
own.
homage? He gave
Well,
credit to it. He
where
specifically said, how do you think I got the fun fact? He said that he was doing it for that. That literally was an homage. If he would not have said that, I would never have known that.
was it? Was it another movie about drug addiction?
I never saw the anime. I don't know.
So see, that's the thing is like I don't know either. That's the thing is like how is it an homage if you don't even know what it's referencing? It's one thing
Okay,
if you're doing.
I
It's one thing
don't.
if you're doing.
He does.
Okay.
Like that's the thing. Like a lot of this is like it just does
If
not
all
seem. It just does not seem
if
fair
all
to
he
the
wanted to
film style
do,
because
if all
you're
he wanted to
saying,
do,
well, the thing is,
if
you're not hating on the film. You're hating on Aronofsky. You're
yeah,
talking wild shit about a guy you've only seen two films of, and they were two of his earliest films. So like like there's no way that like there's just no way.
it basically comes down to this. All right. So many people have told me that I had to see this movie because it was so great, and it was shit. And I feel like, and I know the last thing I want to do, the last thing I have ever wanted to be in the world, let alone on the internet, is the guy who sits here and tells everybody that the thing that they love is shit. Okay, there's already plenty of guys who do that. And I question their motives most of the time. But I'm sorry, this movie was in fact shit. And no one was more surprised than I was because I have very close friends, people whose opinions I have respected for years, tell me that I had to see this movie because it was great. And when I sat down and watched it, I hated every single frame of it. It was garbage, and I cannot for the life of me figure out why so many people love this.
And that's
And
kind of the
I'm
thing, man. So many of us cannot, because the thing is, you hate his style, you do not like some of the things that he did, but the rest of us like it. So that's the thing. It's an opinion. It is straight up your opinion, and you are throwing it out there like it's factual that this guy fucking sucks. And that's the thing. On a technical aspect, you are way not approaching this objectively. He like this is like your personal opinion on this. I get that. And I get that you wouldn't recommend this. But the thing is, I would recommend this a million times over Don't Think Twice because I think outside of performers, that movie's not going to land.
I mean, it's true. It would be tough for Don't Think Twice to resonate with anyone that isn't in the performance arts in some way. That is true.
And Requiem for a Dream, how I mean, fuck, oh my god, today's day and age, who the hell doesn't like is not connected to a family member, a friend, former friend, coworker, somebody who has gone through one of these four stories?
I still can't though, man. That's the thing.
And that's the thing.
Like
That is you as a personal place, but as a objectively speaking, on a technical aspect and with the story aspect, the only character that I cared about at all and Don't Think Twice was Jillian Jacobs' character.
okay.
That was it. The rest of them, I mean, and the thing was, they were all really shitty people for no reason, except for Keegan Michael Key. I felt bad for him. And I just felt bad for him the whole time because he was doing his thing and he tried to bring his buddies into it and they all just hated him for it. That was just a bunch of shitty people who somehow wound up being friends at the end, kind of. Requiem, I wanted every one of those characters to make a different decision. Like, just don't do this. Just come on, man. Like I was actively rooting for them to make the exact opposite decisions. So the anxiety that I felt when I was rooting for them, just hoping that they were doing this, like I cared more about them. I was hoping they were gonna do things differently. And in the technical aspect, like I know you hate it. Ooh, I know you hate it.
Yeah.
But I think it
I don't.
wins.
No. I mean, I'm gonna have to disagree there because technically speaking, don't think twice was watchable. I mean, that's as simple as that.
But that's a personal opinion. That's the
I
problem.
don't think so. I don't think so.
Oh, it definitely is. Requiem for a Dream is on the list of 1001 movies that you must see before you die. So very clearly, more people think it's watchable than don't. Like that is on the same list as Dolly Parton, 95, like 9 to 5. Dolly Parton, Jane Fonda, all that. That is on the same list. Enough people from enough walks of life have all agreed that that is a fantastic film. It is not a comfortable one.
I do not, for the life of me, I do not understand it. I feel like it failed in every way. In every way, it failed.
And
I do not get it. I don't.
And that's the thing. You don't get it, but I'm telling you, like the message that it was meant to put out, it landed. To all the people that this movie personally connects to, everything it set out to do, it did.
The worst part about allowing it to win means we're going to have to talk about it again in the quarterfinals, and I don't want to do that.
I know. Hey, man, that's how it goes. I'm not going to want to You think I wanted to give up on a low down dirty shame? Get the fuck out of here! But it just
fine. I concede.
Just is.
I concede.
And you know what? I can respect how much of a struggle that was. I really can. I knew it was going to be one.
What's next?
All right. Next round. The Burbs versus Encino Man.
Oh, man. Boy. That was, I believe, the first episode in which we both agreed that both movies were not must-sees.
Correct.
And neither of us were happy about that.
Correct, because we both enjoyed both movies. We had a lot of fun talking about both of them. Zero ability to actually say, this is, like, you have to see this.
Right,
The only way that I could say, like, that Encino Man is a must-see is, hey, Brendan Fraser's first movie.
Yeah. If you are a Brendan Fraser fan, it is definitely enjoyable. But yeah, other than that, yeah, it's kind of one of those like, you know, you're probably better off watching The Mummy for the 15th time instead, you know?
True, but it still has it has moments. You know what I was saying when you were talking about Stranger Things, and I say that there is no movie that Sean Astin is the bad guy. I forgot about Encino Man because man was he a shit in that movie.
Yeah. No, that was the thing that really blew me away was like right off the bat, this is supposed to be our protagonist. We're rooting for this guy. He is such a dick.
Yeah, that really didn't stand the test of time.
Right,
but
yeah.
Let's get right into it.
All right.
Story-wise, Burbs versus Encino Man.
I mean,
who did you care about in the Burbs? They were all entertaining.
They were all entertaining, and you do kind of care about Tom Hanks's character because, yeah, he's making bad decisions, but you can kind of also see where he's not so much the victim, but he is victimizing himself. So you kind of feel sorry for him because of him. I think story and character wise, I'm gonna say, and I know it seems kind of unfair considering we just lambasted Sean Astin's character, but I think I'm gonna go with the Burbs on this one because the Burbs had a sort of a story in that it was a beginning and an end and a resolution and a climax and all that. Encino Man was kind of more a series of events. You know, it was a setup and then it just ran away with the setup. There was no real big resolution or climax or anything. There was kind of a climax, but not really.
But here's the thing about Encino Man. You may not have cared about the supposed main character.
Right.
But you never stopped caring about Link.
No, yes, Brendan Fraser's character definitely, you know, especially when we get to that scene when they take him to the Natural History Museum, and it dawns. That's when he realizes for the first time what's happened to him. Like that was for like, and I
There's
remember
no
saying
moment
that.
in the Burbs that like there's no moment in the Burbs that rips your heart
No,
like you
that
had.
is true. Yeah, that's a yeah. But yeah, it was. I remember we talked about that at the time about how a weirdly deep and emotional scene that was for such an otherwise dumb movie. You know.
Yeah. No, like and that was the thing. Fraser, like he brought solid acting right
Hmm.
away. Like he did leave it all out on the table. Like when they told him like you don't like this guy and like he gave him that look, Fraser brought it and I got to give that. So I think story-wise I want to give it to Encino Man because I actually cared about Link and I cared about Stony.
True.
Even though I didn't care like about the main character the way that the movie wanted me to, I did care about those two.
But at the same time, we had a much more, you know, the Burbs had a much more rich cast of characters. Maybe you didn't care about them as much, but they had more like continuing depth to them. You had, you know, the neighbors that everyone's obsessed with that just turn out to be a constant onion. Every time you peel, there's more shit underneath there. You've got, you know, we're going to not include Corey Feldman. He was clearly added in after the fact. He was not originally part of the script. We know we settled on that. But
Okay, so
like, I mean,
maybe
even Robert Picardo as the garbage man. Like, I mean, come on,
well, okay,
come
that's just
on.
great cameos. That's just
Yeah.
great. I mean, they did a great job with the cameos, but the actual you know what? The story of the Burbs was all about the neighbors and the intrigue, and they did a good job with the intrigue. I had
Mm,
questions, and it stayed all
yep.
the way through to the end. And yes, I wanted that movie to end like 5-10 minutes earlier, so it didn't
Yeah.
have the over the top cartoon ending. But I'm giving that to the Burbs. You're right. You're right. I'll give you that one. The technical aspect, Burbs.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
Burbs had. Yeah.
they actually had like
They had special
effects.
effects. Yeah. They had the
Yeah,
miniature. They had that really nice miniature shot at the very beginning.
they had the
Um.
car chase
Yeah. They had the car
that I
chase. They
wish
had
wasn't in the movie.
right exactly, but was still technically pretty good. You know.
Yeah, yeah. So I got to give it that. And yeah, Encino Man had the car with the two wheel thing that happened in every
And it
like
was
third
fun,
movie back then.
and it was okay. Yeah.
But yeah, okay, yeah, no, the Burbs. Uh, okay, 2 out of 3. Why don't we just give it to the Burbs then?
Okay.
All
Why
right,
not?
and moving on. I mean, we both know what
Oh
is gonna
no.
win out of this one, but you know what? It's the
Do we really
finale.
want to
We said we're doing it. We got to do it. Like,
again, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. That was not intentional. I swear I forgot.
oof, it was. This was a thing. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Doc, how many Dr. Peppers is that?
This one's a root beer because I need to cut back on my caffeine. But I'm not giving up the sugar.
The fuck wrong is what's wrong with water, man?
Dude, do not get me started on water. All right.
All right, whatever. Your ass doesn't live in Flint, Michigan, so you're fine. All right,
No water, thank you. Fish make love in it.
that's the flavor. Anyway, all right. Secondhand Lions versus Existence.
Secondhand,
Now,
god damn, that is not even fair.
story wise, who did
Story
we care
wise,
about more?
we cared about I'm forgetting their names, but the
The
brothers,
McCann brothers, and
The McCann
yeah,
brothers, yeah, Michael
yeah,
Caine and Robert Duvall, yeah. No, we weirdly, even though they didn't want us to, we gave a shit about them right away. It was
yep,
weird.
yeah.
um,
Oh my god, no, that this movie, like Secondhand Lions, is damn near a perfect movie.
really,
Uh,
really is, yeah.
the technical aspect, Existence
Technical.
grossed me out, but I don't know if I can give it a technical win.
That's the thing. Well, I think because yeah, I mean that's the thing. You got to give credit for the fact that they pulled off what they intended to there with their gross props and all that. But here's the thing about Secondhand Lions. Secondhand Lines wasn't just a technical perfection on it, it was a technical perfection of two separate genres. You
Mm-hmm.
had your real world and the fantasy storytelling world, and they both merged together perfectly. That's next to impossible, and they pulled that off. So that goes to Secondhand Lines again. So
Yeah, and as far as recommendations go, you have to be a very particular kind of person for me to recommend Existenz to you. So let's just like, yeah, I'm giving that to
if you're
Secondhand
if you're
Lines
in a
all the
very
way.
very dark place, I might suggest.
There you go. Sure. Like, you know what, man? You need to think about how dark life could get.
Hmm.
I got him. This is why we need a producer and somebody just sitting off on the side and hooking us up with all the button pressing,
Hmm.
doing all this stuff ahead of time.
This is how you get to the 1%, folks.
Fucking ridiculous. All right. So this round, One Night at McCool's versus Thank You for Smoking.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
That's gonna be tough. That's gonna be tough
Yeah.
because One Night at McCool's is practically perfect in my eyes. Thank You for Smoking was also incredible.
I mean, I think, I like right off the top of my head, I'm going to say that for story wise, I'm giving it to One Night at McCool's.
Yeah, I gotta
But
agree because who did we really care about in Thank You for Smoking?
that's the thing. And Thank
None
You
of
for
the main
Smoking was,
characters.
yeah. And well, we did talk about the fact that everyone was an antagonist in this movie. There were no protagonists. Um, and yeah, and again, like I mentioned this before when with Encino Man, like this was a series of events. There was no real climax. And even they even kind of teased the climax was coming and didn't,
Oh, that's true.
and
Yeah.
um so yeah, like this was kind of a sort of a pseudo oral history of the downfall of the tobacco industry. Not really. It kind of was a backdrop to this, like, just sort of weird character study of this asshole for
True.
hire.
Which
Um,
which puts it in the running for the technical win
that's the thing.
because Thank You
Technical
for
was it
Smoking.
really pulled it
Oh
everything
my,
off.
yeah, but oh my God, can you name a single thing that Thank You for Smoking or One Night at McCool's failed on? Like even the actors acting differently from the different perspectives of the different stories being told using the concept of the unreliable narrator.
Right? Yeah.
Oh
When
my
I,
God.
and I think that's kind of why I'm actually still leaning towards Thank You for Smoking, because where One Night at McCool's did technically do everything perfect, technically, Thank You for Smoking made a lot of bizarre choices in their visuals and their sounds and their editing, and it all came off super smooth and worked really well.
That
They
is
weren't
true.
taking a lot of, like, they took some risks with the One Night at McCool's, but not nearly as many as Thank You for Smoking did. And they kind of both came off as easy to get through. And so I think that means the win goes to Thank You for Smoking as far as the technical side goes, because they gave themselves a bigger heft on that one.
I can see where you're coming from on that, and I'm definitely inclined to agree with you there.
Mhm. So that comes down to
Who
which
do
one
you
would we?
recommend?
I don't know. That one really
Because
comes down to who I'm talking to.
that really
Like,
does.
those are
A political
two.
person? Thank You for Smoking.
Yeah, 100%.
Anybody else?
Yeah,
Why not? You know what? I think the anybody else kind of pushes like One
that
Night at
is a
McCool's
good.
to be a little more
Yeah,
universal.
that's the thing. There's nobody I wouldn't recommend One Night at McCool's to, but I would be very
Right.
careful at who I'd recommend Thank You for Smoking to.
Right.
So yeah, okay. So One Night at McCool's wins that one. All right.
That was unexpected.
Yeah, really. I really thought one Thank You for Smoking was going to run away with that.
Yeah, I honestly, that's really where I thought I was coming from on that one too. Ooh, I don't like this one.
What's what's next?
Well,
What do
you
we
don't
got?
like it either.
What? Come on, hit me with it.
It's Toys versus Drowning Mona.
Oh no! Don't make me choose. I actually in preparation for today, since we took a break for the last couple weeks to show our back catalog, I actually took a moment to go and watch some of our YouTube clips in order to get myself back in the mindset of
Oh,
doing the
sure.
show. And the ones I focused on were our Drowning Mona episodes. And I almost wanted to go watch the movie again, just listening to us talk about it, which is weird because that was literally like how I ended the show, saying I couldn't recommend it because as much as I loved it, I couldn't imagine sitting down to watch it again. It was a great movie. I loved it. I enjoyed it, but I really don't see myself taking the extra time to want to sit down and watch it again. And so that's why I don't think I could, recommend it as a must see, because it's not that. But then after watching our clips and thinking about it again, now I do. I do kind of want to see it
Okay.
again. So
Well,
I'm
what
like,
about toys?
toys? That's been true for toys forever.
True. Okay. Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm in trouble here.
All right. So let's get into the questions. Who
Mhm.
did you care about in Drowning Mona more than toys? Because I did care about the betrayal that LL Cool J
Mhm.
dealt with. I did care about the brother. I did care about Robin Williams' character, both of the
Yeah.
Robins.
Yeah.
And oh my God, Joan Cusack.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. See, that's the thing. Like, I loved every character. Drowning Mona, I hated every character. I was very entertained by
That's
all
the
of
thing.
them,
You
but I
loved
didn't.
hating them.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe Nev Campbell.
We
Maybe I cared
we
about
did.
her.
Yeah. Loved Ned Campbell. Yes, that's true. Her character was amazing. Was
I
definitely rooting for
think.
her. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna give the story wise. I think I'm gonna give that over to toys
Yeah.
because I actually cared about the characters. I cared about what was gonna happen. I was actually worried about what was gonna happen.
And it felt like there were more stakes too, because we're talking
Yeah,
about a toy company that's supposed to be for making, bringing happiness to children, and is instead using children to create weapons of war.
which is
There
what
was
wound up happening. Like there
yeah, and
was like the message in there, the story. Like there was more to toys.
there was more investment emotionally in that one. Yes. So I'm going to agree on that one.
On
Yes.
the technical aspect, I think that belongs with Drowning Mona though.
Really? You think so? With
Look at how
everything that
well
they
that story was weaved together. Look at all the things that. Okay, yeah, we got somebody pitching in. I can't help it. I lean towards Robin Williams. We all do.
yeah.
Look, um, but in Drowning Mona, the way they weaved that story together, the way they put the investigation and how Danny DeVito discovered it, the new information, the fact that the killer was there the entire time, like
Right.
I think
But do
on the
remember
technical
though,
aspect, like how they. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
here's the thing. Remember, there was one thing about that remember the chick who got in the fight at the bar that was supposed to be
Oh yeah, the black eyed
Kate.
lady.
Yeah, that was supposed to be Casey Affleck's alibi.
Alibi. Yeah, yeah.
And then she literally didn't exist in the movie other than to be introduced at the beginning for the "what are you going to do, hit me" joke. And then finally he happens to run into her as she's changing a tire, and says, "Hey, did you see him there?" And she's like, "No, I didn't see him. He didn't show up." And then that, like,
Mm.
other than that one like scene that she's in, she's not in the rest of the movie, and so much pivots on that. And yeah, I remember you complaining about that at the time. So
Good point.
unfortunately, that is kind of a technical break in the story right there.
Well, no
And
matter what, Toys was going to win this round. I just wanted to
that's
give
fair.
Drowning Mona a little something, but
No,
no, three for
yeah,
three.
yeah. But
Oof.
yeah, but Drowning Mona, gotta love it though, man. Like yeah.
Like that's the thing. I'll recommend Drowning Mona to anybody,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll
For sure.
recommend Toys to anybody.
Yep, for
Like
sure.
that is, and I'll recommend Toys over Drowning Mona.
Yep.
That's really just how it happens. Next round, Dragonheart versus American Movie.
Oh Jesus. That's
That's mean.
oh yeah.
That's mean.
These are you cannot compare these movies. These are so wildly different movies. It
And that's
is,
why we're not really comparing them.
I guess it's true.
However, who did you like?
yeah. Well,
Who
okay,
did you
first of all,
Okay, set aside from the chubby buddy with the mustache.
yeah.
He is the only dude I cared about in the
Yeah.
entire thing. And I didn't
Oh
really
no.
care about him. I just felt bad for him.
I'm conceding this one. Okay. I know that Dragonheart had the better story because it had a story for starters. Um and yeah, like I told you, like the reason why this movie stuck with me so hard over the years after seeing it in theater and it haunted my nightmares for the next 20 years
Mhm.
was because of how much I fucking hated Mark Borchardt. Like I know I know that and I mean here's the thing. I know I shit talked Dragonheart a lot when we did the show, but I'm gonna tell you, I can tell you right up front, yes, I know it wins this round. It is the better story, it is the better technical.
It is, but I still want to give it its, I still want to give it its little, so I mean,
Okay, fine,
yes.
fine.
Like in Dragonheart, you cared about what happened to Einan. You were sad about what happened to Einan. You cared about Dennis Quaid's character. And Kira? Was that her name? Kara? She's Diz.
She was
That is,
Diz. Yeah, that's the thing. Is
yeah,
like I only saw her as
we
Diz the whole
all
time.
fell in love with her as Diz, and that is just how that happened.
Yeah.
Cared about the villagers. I cared about oh my god, the queen.
Yeah. Like out of nowhere, we really gave a shit about her. Yeah.
Yeah. No, so yeah. Then on the
Technical side.
then on the technical aspect,
Yeah.
very clearly Dragonheart.
Oh yeah. 100%.
I mean, obviously.
I mean,
What I'm going to recommend. I don't know who I would recommend American movie to.
Other movie nerds.
That would pretty much be it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
That's okay.
Okay.
Yep. Dragonheart is taking this one, and we got a comment. I prefer Sean Connery as a dragon over serial killers. Thank you. That is a great comment, Cinder Lily, and I do agree as well.
We did not confirm that Mark Borchardt was a serial killer. We only theorized it.
I'm standing by it. The guy scares me. I know he's still out there. I know he's out doing podcasts and everything like that. And if he ever does agree to come on to ours, if we ever decide to invite him onto ours, it will be over video. Ooh, another one. God, this is just a slam dunk for me, I feel. But give it just a second, and we'll get into it. All right, next round is the Borrowers versus Sword of Trust.
Oh, this is not a slam dunk. How dare you?
Slam dunk.
No. Sword of Truth.
Let's go. Okay. Let's just get the technical win out of the way. Borrowers. Are you kidding me?
I mean, sure, okay, they had all those really good special effects and props and costumes and blah 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 blah.
And incredible acting and great moments, incredible charm
the
from all the
acting
characters.
Was really good in Sword of Truth too. Okay, that's a matchup right
Doc,
there.
you don't even know the name of the movie.
Because it's a stupid name. It should have been called Sword of Truth, not Sword of Trust. Why did they call it Sword of Trust? I don't understand. Was that just to fuck with us?
I completely agree with you. That is a dumb name. It is the wrong name. They literally should have called it the Sword of Truth. Completely agree.
But other than that, it's a phenomenal flick. Okay,
a lot of it was improv. So here's the thing. The only reason why I would ever suggest the Sword of Trust is if you were a big fan of any of these actors, or you're a filmmaker trying to understand filmmakers.
Okay, I could see that.
Because this was her dying film, and this was what she wanted.
Yes.
So there was that. However, I cared about the Borrowers. I wanted to know more about their world. I wanted to know more about everything that came with it. Like, when I left that, I was satisfied with what I saw, but I wanted more.
Now, you see, here's the thing. There is more to that also, because that's one of the things that I think was important about Sword of Trust was the fact that it was, to a certain degree, also kind of this, like, I mean, granted, it wasn't quite a dialogue, but there was the representation of like what I always come back to when it is when they're at the farm and they've got those two skinhead guys there, and Mark Maron remembers the other one. He's like, I remember when you were a kid, when you came into my shop, and and your dad was a drunk and slapped you around, and you stole my shit, and then your mom came in, and she would come back the next day and like return what you stole or pay me for it or something like that. And just very, and the way he just very sincerely says to the guy, why did you take after the shitty one? You know, like it is like
Okay, yeah, so it
this.
references a story I would care about more, but it didn't show me a story I would care about more. The only story that I actually did kind of care about
Right,
was Mark Maron and the woman who directed it.
right.
And she played Deirdre, I think her name
Deirdre,
was.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but
That
my
that
point was
little
it.
backstory.
Yeah, but it was the humanization of it. That's the thing, especially nowadays when we think about like those flyover state, your uh, conspiracy theory Appalachian types, uh, what is it? The people who will sit there and say, the South actually won the war. Like it
I was about to say,
didn't.
until
It
you mentioned the South, I'm like, you,
right,
my hometown? Like, why are you shit talking my people, man?
right, yeah. But no, that's the thing is like it was without apologizing for them, without being apologists for it. It humanized them. It kind of made their story less of a villain story and more of just kind of another tragedy. Kind of like we don't need to be afraid of them. We don't need to hate them. We just got to realize that they just kind of need a little extra help too. It was a very humanizing story, even for what is seen as, especially in today's political climate, as a very villainous character. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, I
That's
do
why I
see what
feel
you're
like the movie
saying,
was
but
important.
because it was so in the background,
Mm.
I can't give that to the movie because that's not what the movie was about. Like you just referenced two different things that happened as very subtle side things that just the characters referenced, but that is not what the movie was about.
I mean, I guess that's true.
So, I mean, I feel like you're going to agree with me on this one. Very clearly, the borrowers kind of won on this one, but I did
I
want to
mean,
give
yeah,
the sort of trust a little bit. I did want to give you a little bit of time to talk about it because
it's
you
that's
do
the, I
love this
mean,
movie.
I do love this movie. It is a really good movie, and I cannot stress enough how much people should see this. But yeah, technically you're right. The borrowers does win on the merits of such, but I
Jeez,
mean,
man, pout a little more. All right, this is going to be fun. Independence Day v. The Birdcage.
oh damn, oh damn, oh. Mm.
Because the reason this is so hard, well,
These were both
the obvious.
blockbuster flicks. That's the thing. Is like this was kind of a step off of our usual thing. We normally go for lesser known,
Hmm?
forgotten movies that we want to bring up. Birdcage and Independence Day are still going strong 30
Oh
years
yeah,
later.
almost
So
everybody has seen these. I mean, you keep
yeah,
going back to them, and as time goes on and the world continues to get gayer, the birdcage ain't going nowhere.
no, it is not.
Like it really
Although
isn't.
more and more people see Val as the villain of the movie, though, as time goes
He
by.
is the villain of that movie. Pure and simple. He
Mhm.
just was. Okay, story wise, who did we care about more? For the birdcage, you got Robin Williams, Nathan Lane, and oh my god, you care about Nathan Lane.
Absolutely, 100%.
You do kind of care about Robin,
Hmm.
but I mean, but you're more empathizing with Robin. You're not
And
really, really, really caring about him. You're really caring about Nathan Lane.
that's the thing, yeah.
Independence
And
Day, who don't you care about?
I kind of don't care about Will Smith's kid in that one, but even that's just kind of like that's only
Really?
because I mean, not like a lot. That's there is at no point am I like get this kid off the screen. But if I had to go like who could this movie have been just fine if they were cut out, it would have been the kid. I get where
You're
they
right.
got
Okay,
him
okay.
there.
They did. He didn't really offer anything more to the story than the stakes of his mom.
Right,
Like
exactly. Yeah.
basically what like a lot of complaints on women are only used to as like revenge plots and stuff like that.
Right.
Basically,
I
yeah,
mean,
the kid was
it
only
was
used as
right. It was
higher
kind of the
stakes.
shared stakes because for Will Smith's character, the whole point was that this was going to be his new family. He was going to ask her to
Yeah.
marry him. He was going to be his dad, and so it was kind of like a unified, like shared motivation and stakes between him. excuse me, between him and
Mhm.
the mom. But yeah, other than being that placeholder for those stakes, the kid didn't really have anything to contribute.
Okay,
Um,
okay. Well, that was a side question but that is nitpicking. But I did ask, so that is on me.
yes.
Whoa, did you
What
hear
happened?
that?
No, what happened?
Sounded like a bird came like was in like coming out of my lungs. That was like the craziest wheeze. I need to drink more water, man. This is nuts. Did you care more about the characters in the Birdcage or the Independence Day?
I'm actually going to say Birdcage on that one. Um, Partly because, and I'm going to say that's on a technicality because there were fewer characters. It was easier to get deeper in all of them.
That I
So,
will give you that. Okay.
yeah.
And I will agree with you because as much as I cared about Nathan Lane, I cared about
Hmm.
Nathan Lane more than everybody combined in Independence Day, which
Yep.
is where I was going with that question.
Yeah.
You just really went down a direction I wasn't expecting. Technical win,
Technical win.
Independence Day.
Yeah. Yep. I
You
mean, it's an
have to.
unfair fight considering everything that was in there, but yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So so yeah.
I mean, the only reason that Nathan Lane was able to pass off as a woman was because neither of them were wearing their glasses. I'm not saying that like drag doesn't get confusing. I'm not saying that like they really pulled it off.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying Nathan Lane didn't.
And kind of had a 5 o'clock shadow while he was at it, for that matter.
See, he's got the problem. I shaved. I had professional from a barber today. I already have a beard.
Mm-hmm.
Some of
Yep.
us, that's just our life. Is what it is. We are clean shaven, and you can still see the beard. Oh, dude, the army, that was not a great time for me. All right. But which one would we recommend more moving forward?
I don't think that can be quantified. That's the problem. Is that I mean these are two iconic movies for a reason. To say like I mean to quote a to great to I mean a great quote that's been running around the internet lately. Gun to your head, which would you choose? The gun would go off. You know, that's
I
that's the
haven't heard
thing.
that. I do like that.
Okay.
That is a good one. Here's the thing. Important. I would call the birdcage.
Okay.
There are a ton of people I would not recommend watch the birdcage.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
There are people
I
that the birdcage is specifically making fun of that if I sent them to go watch it, they would come out of it and go, "What the hell, man?" Like because
no.
that whole movie just dogged on me the whole time.
Those would
So,
be those would be precisely who I would show it to. I'm that
and
asshole.
see, and that's the thing. It's not about what I would do. It's about who would get like how many people, what would be like for general audiences, what would be the one that would be able to successfully be recommended the most. I think Independence Day.
Yeah, I suppose. Technically. I
That really
mean,
hurt. That really hurt. I want you to know how much that hurt because the
good. Good.
birdcage was so good.
Yeah.
It's just that speech from Bill Pullman in Independence Day is so good. There is no speech in the birdcage. There is no moment in the birdcage that is actually as iconic as that. In fact, the most iconic thing to come out of the birdcage might be that John Wayne moment.
Yeah, no that I think that is the iconic moment of that movie. Yes. I think you're right.
And the amount of people who know the Bill Pullman speech versus the John Wayne walk, it does not compare.
No, you got a point there.
So
But
no
let's
matter
be
how
clear.
much that
Let's be
hurt,
clear. This was a win by a nose. This was a photo
oh
finish.
yes,
Okay. Yeah.
yes, that was not an easy decision. That was not even an easy one to decide which one I wanted to rally behind.
Right. Yeah.
That was that hurt. But it didn't hurt too bad because I have loved Independence Day my entire life. All right, next up is 9 to 5 versus Candyman.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Again,
Okay,
how do you compare these two?
I know, right? Yeah,
That doesn't
that's
seem
seem
fair.
not at all. Um, I mean,
Who did you care about more? So let's just go in on
oh well,
that.
that's definitely 9 to 5. I mean, that's for sure. Yeah, like hands down. Like you care about all three of the main characters right off the bat. With
Our
Candyman,
let's go into Candyman a little bit. Like,
mhm,
so with what happens to Virginia Madsen in Candyman, like she gets framed, she gets put in that psych hospital. She like all of these things happen to her, and she
right?
barely. I mean, she got jumped by gang members in
Yep,
a bathroom that spelled out Candyman and poop on the wall.
yeah.
I mean, or no, aisle? Sweets for
I
the
think
sweet.
right. Yeah.
That's what it
No,
was.
it was like I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that there was anything technically wrong with how the characters of the story was presented in Candyman. It's just that with 9 to 5, like you are on
Because like Cassie Lemon's character Bernadette
mhm,
in Candyman. Oh
right.
my god, my heart broke for her like immediately, a couple minutes later, and when she died.
Yeah, yeah.
The lady whose child got taken from her.
I mean, yeah, all good points, but these were also like I don't know. And granted, I realized like, and we talked about this at the time. Me not being a horror fan, like
Mm, hmm.
I kind of for my hold all this at arm's length to start with. Um,
Understandable, which is why
yeah,
I kind of I gotta give Candyman a little bit more of a fight because I know
right,
where you're coming from.
yeah. Um, but yeah, like I said, they didn't do anything wrong. I just felt kind of that's the thing. I was like, I was more in it with 9 to 5 right off the bat. I mean, like the moment, like our first character introduction is Jane Fonda coming in, on her job, like already a deer in headlights just right off the bat, and you immediately
Like first
sympathize with
job,
her.
I think.
Yeah, it was her first job ever. Yeah. You know, nervous as hell, explaining her life story to the front door guard who's making her ID badge, who does not care, and
Right.
you know, um,
Okay.
but it's an adorable little exposition dump for us,
See, okay, so okay, here's where I'm going to combat you because we're going into too much detail.
Okay,
But here's where I'm going to combat you. Uh, we sympathize with all of the characters from 9 to 5 because they have a shitty boss and everything like that. Right. So we sympathize and we care them. We're rooting for them. In Candyman, we're rooting for people's survival. We're rooting for people's innocence. We're rooting for
mm,
like I feel like the stakes are higher in Candyman, so I feel like I cared more about what was going to happen in that.
yeah,
And in 9 to 5, they straight up kidnapped the dude and abused the guy and everything like that. Like
but it
there
was in a
wasn't
funny
that
way.
it was oh yeah, it was funny. It was entertaining. I had a good time watching it. But the thing was, at a certain point, they kind of became the bad guys, and the only reason that it worked is because it's a comedy.
Right? Yes. No,
Candyman, they
I
never
feel you there.
became the bad guys. They just
Well,
became
but
they were solid victims the whole way through.
no, she literally becomes the bad guy at the end.
Okay, but I call that
She
part of
literally
I
becomes the
call
bad.
that, but yeah, but I call like becoming the bad guy. Like you were a victim before becoming the bad guy. Like
Right? Yeah.
you
Well, but
had to
that's the
be
thing.
murdered and set on fire.
I think that's the thing is like
That's
I
not a win.
think this feels like Candyman felt like watching the Discovery Channel. It's like
Yeah, the
I
history
don't
with
I
the
I don't
slavery or not
yeah
slave. Was it?
I don't want
No,
to
no, no.
sit
It was after.
here. I don't want to sit here and watch this wolf chase down and murder this rabbit. And yeah, they're spending a lot of time filming this in slow mo to make it kind of look like the rabbit might get away. But we all know what show we're watching.
Okay,
So
so here's the thing. because this is going to go on for way too long. We're spending, and we have a lot more to get to.
Okay. All right.
9 to 5 won in the technical aspect. Like it just did.
Okay.
Like
You think so? Really?
too many things about it were perfect. Candyman, well, I think Candyman won in the fact that like the characters you care about
See,
them more.
I was going to
Because
go the other direction on both of those.
but see, here's why. The backstory for Candyman is far superior to anything that is going on in 9 to 5. Like
Okay.
9 to 5, more relatable. The story between the black man falling in love with the white woman and all of this, and Candyman has killed everybody that he's ever seen until he came across Virginia Madsen because she looked like the woman that he used to love.
Right.
That is a better story.
Okay.
It just like it's less relatable, but it is better.
Okay. I see where you're going
the
with
technical
there.
aspects on 9 to 5, how it was shot, the music that was used, the tone of the film, the pacing of the film, every part of it, holy crap, amazing.
See, I was going to go technical for Candyman. I was going to go technical for Candyman because of the fucking bees, dude. I
Well,
mean,
okay.
I mean,
Crap.
how do you overlook the fact that they brought in live bees for those shots?
And they
I
bred
mean,
them specifically to be just around 12 hours old so they wouldn't have stingers developed yet. And
yeah. I
that
mean,
is
that's I'm
crap.
sorry. That's
Crap,
yeah.
crap, 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 crap.
I love I mean, you're right as far as like a shot for shot pacing wise and all that sort of stuff. 9 to 5 did nothing wrong, but they also took no risks. Candyman
That's
had
true.
live bees, man.
That's true. Doc, I don't know which one wins. Um,
Yeah.
for what I would recommend, I think I would recommend 9 to 5 because it was like one of the highest grossing films, the first female led film to break $100 million.
Yep.
Um,
Dolly Parton and I mean that trio of Parton, Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin. I mean, my
plus
God.
Dabney Coleman.
Plus Dabney Coleman. I mean, I can't
No,
think of
I get
another
that. I
powerhouse of
do.
talent. Yeah.
Really do.
Yeah. So yeah, we're
But
gonna have to go 9 to 5 on that one.
as as the overall winner?
Yeah. Well, if we're both saying that that's the one to recommend, because it was a tie otherwise.
Well, that's the thing. I was coming over to your side with the Candyman. Like that was the thing. Like it wasn't my movie. Like I recommended Candyman, but I was going with 9 to 5. But with me coming over to Candyman on that one, now I
See,
think that makes it 2 to 1, and that goes Candyman as the winner. But that's the thing. Like they're both incredible. They're both amazing films.
no,
The
that's
fact
true.
that you enjoyed Candyman, even though it's a horror film, that holy crap. Set aside from that, that opening tracking shot going over the cityscape, that was incredibly well done.
Yeah.
The bees, you mentioned the bees from Candyman. Well, what I'm going to bring up again that I haven't yet on this episode,
Yeah.
when she was locked on that hospital bed and she was locked down, and Tony Todd was floating above her, how seamlessly they had him floating in and out of frame and all of
Oh,
that.
yep. No, yeah,
Oh
that
my
was really good.
God. That was incredible. And how eerie it was. Plus the audio engineering for Candyman. Oh my God.
Well, and let's not. And this isn't. This
Oof.
is kind of one of those things where it's like this was actually a goof, but it's a
Guys,
goof that
help me
gives
out
a
here. Candyman or 9 to 5? Who wins?
yeah, a goof that kind of gives away how amazing it was. The scene where Candyman flies backwards out the window and they accidentally
Full
left
crane.
they left the crane rope showing behind him. And so that gives away the fact they actually pulled Tony Todd through a goddamn window for that shot. Like what? What?
Like you really have to decide, does it get a ding for you seeing the crane shot, or does it get the win for it actually happening? Like that is a tough one. Like, okay, are we giving this to Candyman?
I don't know, man. I mean, we did just say if we had to recommend it, we'd go 9 to 5.
Oh, but with the technical aspect and like I said, everything that I had to say about the story aspect, with everything that you cared about with the slate, like with the
Which
black and white and
you
everything.
did kind of bring me over on that one then, yeah. All right, yeah, I guess this goes to Candyman. Yeah,
I
just
wow. Wow. Talk about the unexpected.
I did not, I did not see that coming. I'm not happy about it at all.
We may have
I
to
was,
reform the questions for next
yeah,
season's finale.
I was looking forward to talking about 9 to 5 some more.
This one is Airplane versus Meteor Man. It's not
Oh my!
exactly fair.
No, it is not. Oh
However,
my!
we still got to show Meteor Man some love.
For sure, yeah. I mean, it definitely deserves some love. That's for sure.
So, Airplane versus Meteor Man. Which one did you actually care about more? That is obviously going to Meteor Man because Airplane didn't even want you to care about anybody.
That's right. Yep.
So, on the technical win,
The funny part is that to such a point that even when there were scenes where you might accidentally start caring about a character, they would immediately reverse it on you. They would say or do something so profoundly disgusting or stupid that you change your mind. You're like, "Oh, I almost cared about that person. Oh shit."
yeah, okay, and agreed. On the technical aspect, obviously Airplane wins. Airplane
Oh
would
yeah.
defeat almost any movie it goes up against for a
Mm,
technical battle.
yeah, yeah. It was a ridiculously technically perfect movie. Yeah.
Absolutely. Which one I would recommend? There's no contest.
Yeah.
There's no contest. Maybe because of that Air Israel joke, I wouldn't recommend it to Jewish people in 2024. Or
Give it another like 2 or 3 years and they'll be fine.
yeah, I'll give that a little bit of time because that
Yeah.
might be a little bit rough.
That's one of those
However,
ebbs and flows type things, you know?
yep. And when it comes to the Jewish community, they get screwed over enough that that ebb and flow is never going to go. That
Yeah.
is
Yeah. No, it's true.
wildly sad. Um. So yes, you care about people in Meteor Man more, and they actually do help you care about them. They actually do a pretty good job. Like you actually
Yeah.
do. Like your main character is a man of integrity and morality, and you do care about him.
100%. Yep.
The technical aspects, of course, Airplane wins, but I just real quick shout to Meteor Man, like all the different ways, like when he showed his super speed and it actually had him going around like moving in all those different ways. Throw him some props on there. The
Hmm.
comedy behind him flying but not being able to fly very high because he's afraid of heights.
Right. Yep. That was
Funny.
good. Yep.
The one I'm gonna recommend moving forward is obviously going to be Airplane.
Yeah. Yep.
There's nobody I wouldn't recommend it to. And Meteor Man, if you want to get the reference in the Smash Mouth song.
Yeah.
Other than that, pretty much everybody, I feel like everybody who would love that movie has already seen it. Or
Yeah.
they have had it be shown to them by somebody already.
That's probably a good point. Yeah.
So for the next round is Frequency versus the Freshman.
Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah, you're not going to like that very much because,
Yeah, I think
wow,
the freshman's going to get its ass kicked here, isn't it?
it kind of is. But that's
Yeah.
not fair
No.
because the Freshman was such a good movie.
It really was. But
So
yeah, I mean, it was kind of good in spite of itself in a lot of ways.
that
That's
is
the thing.
true.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing about it. So
So
yeah,
here's the tough one. Like the story wise, which one do we care about more? Obviously, Frequency.
obviously frequency. Yep.
How do
Not
you
not even a
even
contest.
compare?
Yeah.
Which one technical win?
I mean,
Frequency.
frequent. I mean, they both kind of again. This I brought this up before. They neither movie did anything wrong, and so that means because frequency took more risks, it wins because it took those extra risks and also did it perfectly to the same level.
Oh,
So
the
yeah,
execution over that paradox was it was great. Which one I would recommend? I would be more likely to recommend the Freshman.
you think so? I was gonna say frequency being a
Frequency
safer
because
bet.
like I always recommend comedies over serious movies, and if there
Okay.
is a comedy that actually is kind of a guaranteed banger, I will recommend it pretty religiously.
See, I was gonna say the only people I would recommend like if I were to sit there and like go like, oh, there's a movie, you know, it's a movie you should see. In that regards, is anybody I knew who was a diehard Godfather series fan.
There you go.
Like
Absolutely.
to me, I think The Freshman is a really really good like episode 4 of the Godfather series. You know,
Not that's not
you
bad. It's not bad. I will give you that actually. I can see where
yeah.
you're coming from with that, and I do agree.
But other than that, I don't really see myself like, you know, really going down. I mean, I enjoyed it. I liked it. I was having a good time watching it again after so many years. But yeah, I mean, you know, when it comes to like what would I be like, oh, you really got to see this movie. Frequency kind of beats The Freshman out pretty hard in my opinion.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Frequency takes the round. All right. Ooh, I feel bad.
Uh-oh.
This one is Buffalo 66 versus Remember the Titans.
Oh god damn it.
That is a rough one. That is a rough one. That doesn't seem fair, but
No, it's really not.
but
Come on, man.
I'm also very happy about the fact that you don't really consider that fair because you weren't ready for Remember the Titans.
I was not. No, I was not ready for Remember the Titans at all. I really thought it was like I mean I mentioned that when we did the episode that I was you know I was expecting just another high school football movie. I was not expecting 60s segregation politics. Like that came out of left field for me. Like I
And
was trying to figure out why of all the people who had told me to see this movie never brought that up before.
no, that's the thing. Like I remember you saying like you don't really like football movies and all that. And I remember telling you it's like I don't like this. Like football's kind of the backdrop of this
Mm.
movie. But the thing is, like, so who do you care about more between Buffalo 66 and Remember the Titans? Obviously, oh my God. Like, you obviously care about Bertier and Julius, and you care
Yeah.
about Coach Boone and Yost. And if Cheryl is not one of your favorite characters of all time as far as
No, it's
little kid
true.
castings go, I
Yeah.
don't understand you as a person.
No, it's
Uh,
true. Yeah. Well,
man,
and especially considering like you know, in Buffalo 66, you were kind of like that was kind of the point. You weren't supposed to like these characters right away. You like most of
yeah.
the characters you were supposed to hate them except for Billy and oh god, I can't believe and then
Can't even
Christina
remember her
Ricci.
name. Yeah, Christina
Yeah,
Ricci.
Christina Ricci because that's who she is. Um always and forever. Um but you don't even them you don't really care about that much until like later on as their dynamic develops. The more you learn about the shitty people in Billy's life, you start to care about him until you see what he's been through. You're just kind of like, Jesus, what an asshole. And then as time goes by, you're like, oh, okay, he was made an asshole, the poor guy.
True.
You
But
don't
even when you're made one, you still have that ability to break that, which if he ever did, he hadn't done it yet.
No, that's true.
Remember the
Yes.
Titans,
But yeah, that's the
bad
thing. Is
things were
like,
happening to people who didn't deserve it.
yeah.
And that's why and that is the main reason I think that it wins in the over who you care about. The technical aspect, ooh, Buffalo 66 did some very cool editing tricks.
They were very, very daring,
The way they
especially.
went through and telling the story of him being in prison through overlaying insert shots,
Yep, yep.
that was beautiful.
Like all the different ways that they played with the color correction and you know washing out in some areas
Yeah,
outside and then blowing out the colors inside. Like there was a lot going on there. So yeah, that, I mean, but I mean also at the same time, it did kind of have that whole sort of this is a low budget indie movie. You're gonna
true,
forgive
but
us
this
our
is what I really wanted to
trespasses.
go, and this is why Buffalo 66 was the one that I was specifically waiting on
Hmm.
because what it did. Remember the Titans had Disney money behind it. Let's remember that.
Yeah,
And
right,
they told a good story. It was a great story. It was I mean the editing like what have you.
right.
Buffalo 66 did more with less.
That is true. You've got
So
a
I
very
am
good point there.
actually so on the technical aspect, story-wise, remember the Titans. Technical-wise, Buffalo 66. What I'm recommending going forward, remember the Titans.
Yeah, no, and I do remember when I said and I said that at the time. I said I'm putting you know Remember the Titans in the same. category as secondhand lines, which is everyone should see this movie, and if you have
Right.
kids, you absolutely should show this movie to your kids. Buffalo 66, as much as I dearly, dearly, dearly love this movie, there is a very, very small number of people I would recommend this movie to. So,
Agreed.
you know.
This one, The 13th Warrior versus Sneakers.
Okay.
Story wise, for me, it's The 13th Warrior. I cared more about
Yeah.
what happened with them.
Yeah. I mean,
I think the argument on this one is going to come down to the tech. Like, which one has the
well,
technical win?
and even then, because yeah, I mean, Sneakers was kind of
Sneakers'
more
first
of a
time.
Sneakers was more of a lot of political statements strung together into a
It
story.
was. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think I'm gonna have to concede that one. That 13th Warrior was, story and character. I mean, although
What you got?
the characters in Sneakers had names. You know,
Whoa, okay. First off, just because you can't pronounce or remember them does not mean that the ones in 13th Warrior didn't have any names. He was Ahmed. There was Bulvi,
right.
Rosgar, Egtho, and others. Because I, I can't remember their names either, but they had names.
But they were all basically just Vikings. There was the big Viking, there was the King Viking, there was the funny Viking, there was the
Oh, they were all the funny Viking.
the fat
Well,
Viking. Like
there were a couple that weren't funny, but pretty much they all
yeah,
got a laugh out of me.
at one point or another, yeah.
Yeah, like
But I mean,
in
they were also
Sneakers,
like,
you know what the
even
thing is? In
even in that
Sneakers, you didn't
scene.
really care about the characters so much. You just knew the actors so well that you cared about them before you even met them.
That's true. That's true. Like we weren't looking at characters. We were watching Robert Redford and Sidney Poitier. We were not
Yeah,
watching whatever the fuck their characters' names were. We
exactly.
didn't
I have
care.
no idea what their names are, but I know every single actor's name in that movie.
Yeah,
Except
that's
for
true.
Dan Aykroyd, I know he was Mother because
Right,
of
exactly.
that fun fact you told me. So story-wise, 13th Warrior. Tech, damn, the 13th Warrior did a great job with all of their special effects.
That's
I
true.
loved like the set, the clothing, the fighting, every part about it. I thought it was amazing.
Costumes were all pretty spot on.
But
Yeah.
I don't feel like Sneakers fell in that department.
No, they really didn't. And that's the thing is like they did kind of like even with all of the kind of weird slapdash technical stuff they were doing. I mean, this kind of goes back to Master and Commander, where I'm saying like I'm not a boat person. I don't know anything about boats, but I totally followed everything that was happening on this boat
Yeah.
because they did such a good job on that. I think the same thing happened with Sneakers. You don't have to be a tech person to follow along all the technical shit they're doing.
So for the technical aspect of this battle, I'm gonna give it a tie.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know which one because they're both wildly impressive, but for two very different reasons.
Yeah.
The one I'm recommending, 13th Warrior.
Yeah, I
Do you
get
have an
that.
argument?
I can't argue against it. Yeah, like I wasn't that
Yeah,
impressed with
that's
13th
kind of
Warrior,
slammed.
but I mean that's the thing is like after watching Sneakers for the second time, I guess more like the fourth time, but after 15 years since the last viewing, I came to realize it hasn't really held up. It hasn't withstood the test of time as well as I thought it would. 13th Warrior, pretty timeless. So
All right. Next round, The Prestige versus The Illusionist.
wow, yeah.
Ooh, yeah, dude. I don't know how I'm going to do this one. So let's just start with story wise. Which one did you care about more? Because
I'm gonna
I
go
don't
with the
know.
Illusionist. I cared about the Illusionist
Here's the
more.
thing. I agree, but I cared about the characters of the. See, the thing is, I cared about the love in The Illusionist,
Mm-hmm.
but I cared about the character's obsession in The Prestige, which is exactly what The Prestige wanted me to care about.
I suppose that's true. Yeah.
So, like, that's a little bit of a struggle, but personally, The Illusionist is one of my all time favorite movies. The Prestige, I think it's absolutely dope.
Yeah.
But The Illusionist, it hits me in a more particular place than The Prestige.
Okay.
The Prestige, awesome film. Illusionist, beautiful film.
Yeah.
The technical win, what do you
Prestige.
got? Yeah.
Because
Okay. Thank
I
you.
think
I
the
was saying
interesting
like
thing,
the illusion. I
yeah,
love The Illusionist, but I don't know if I could fight for it.
that's the thing is with the thing with the illusionist is as good as it was in a lot of ways. I think the fact that they went with CGIing a lot of the magic tricks, I think was a ding against them.
Okay. I'll give you
So
that.
that, even though I get why, but if I'm going to compare the two, there was no need to do any of that in the Prestige. The Illusionist did, and so they get a fail on that one.
That is
They're
fair.
neck and neck up to that point.
Which one would you recommend moving forward? Like more? Because that's the thing. Like if I recommend The Illusionist, I recommend The Prestige at the same time.
That's the thing. I think the fact that I got to see these as a double feature back to back was like 90% of the experience for these. Like these are movies that should be seen together, in
I
my
will agree
opinion.
with that.
So yeah, that's a tough one.
I still got to give it to The Illusionist because Paul Giamatti's the deal breaker.
All right. I will allow it.
As long as I got the agreement, I'm moving forward. Final round of the preliminaries of the season finale. Fear of a Black Hat versus Soldier.
Damn. Again, two wildly different movies. Man,
Can't even compare. You really can't.
that is oh, that is so I don't even know how to think about these movies together. How did we do that?
It's a bit rough. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, we just plain and simple. Actually, no, you chose
I chose Fear of a Black Hat.
and Soldier because I gave
No.
you a Kurt Russell choice.
Oh, that's right. You said Soldier or Big Trouble in Little China. That's right. I remember that. I should have gone with Big Trouble in Little China. That would
Which
be an easier one.
most people who know me are very surprised that we haven't covered Big Trouble in Little China yet.
Yeah.
Which, when you think about it, 45 movies and we didn't. That is kind of nuts for me because it almost always makes it into my top 5.
Dude, 45 movies and we only did one Christina Ricci movie. You're welcome.
I will
All
give
right.
you like
I
yeah, no
held
props for the
back.
restraint.
I held
Props
back
on the
hard.
restraint. And we only did 2 Robin Williams movies, which honestly is just surprising.
That is
But
that is funny, yeah.
who or which movie got you to care more about the characters? Because hands down, flat out, through and through, Soldier.
Soldier. Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
really? Okay, I thought maybe
Yep.
you would have something for Fear of a Black Hat.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, if when we come down to the which would you recommend more, I'm gonna say Fear of a Black Hat. But part of Fear of a Black Hat's charm was the fact that these characters were all idiots. These were all dopes. These were all people this was a parody of celebrity in the fact that these are people who people worship for no fucking reason. I mean,
Okay,
it
fair
is
enough.
it is a retread of Spinal Tap, but it was a really, really, really good retread of Spinal Tap.
It really, and you know what? I'm really sad that they cut the scene where they would have seen Spinal Tap skeleton like in the closet. I would have enjoyed that scene.
That would have been good. Yeah.
So okay, story wise, Soldier. Technical
Soldier.
wise, I'm giving it to Fear of a Black Hat.
Yeah. I
just
kind
think
of half
I
and
think
half
they
on that.
did what they wanted to do better. Now, Soldier, they nailed it. They nailed it. Like they really did.
You're right.
But how terrible that CG was, that's where they lose points.
Right.
I get sign of the times, but there were so many that did wildly, so much better.
Yeah,
like there's really no excuse for how bad that was.
And there were and that's the thing is the sort of pseudo documentary approach that they did with Fear of a Black Hat. Not only did they pull it off well, but it played really, really well with the whole movie. Even when the parts where the characters are looking at the camera when they're realizing what they just said on camera, stuff like that. Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right. So for what I'm recommending, absolutely Fear of a Black Hat. This has not been viewed by enough people. It's a better CB4. And pretty
Yes.
much
Yes, it
the
is.
the only people I would really recommend Soldier to are people who are huge fans of Blade Runner.
Okay. Right. You texted me that little fact the other night. I'm still not sure how I feel about it.
Well, apparently there was an opening sequence that was cut from Blade Runner that had a bunch of replicants being dropped off on a trash planet. That's
Okay.
these guys. These guys are replicants. The movie just never says it.
Wait, the
The children are replicants.
Oh, that's so much more mind-blowing. Oh my god.
But that's the thing. Like that's the thing. Like there is no connection until you know that. Then it's completely connected. But Fear of a Black Cat. Okay,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
taking it.
no, yeah.
All right.
Saddest thing is the movie would have been better if they drew that connection.
I would agree with that. I absolutely would agree with that. All right. So that finishes the preliminaries. Next, we go into the quarterfinals. And we are going to take a break. I'm thinking like a 10-minute break because
You want
I
your 10 minutes?
really do need to give my voice a bit of a rest because we've been going for 2.5 hours literally straight because
Right.
these movie fights have actually been, and it's fun that we haven't actually had many fights because that's
Yeah,
making
yeah.
it go quick. It's not going to stay that way as we move forward.
No, this is about to get bloody. Yeah.
Our first one is Airplane versus the 13th Warrior. And I'm not happy about it.
What? I don't even know where to begin there.
Yeah, because let's just go right into it because the
Yeah.
story.
I mean, as we said before, Airplane gets a pass because the point of it was that you didn't care. Like it was a parody. It was making fun of all the movies that it came before it in their stories. So it's
Yeah,
kind of a
so obviously the 13th Warrior is going to win, but eventually it was going to go down anyway. So
sure.
automatically, got to give the 13th Warrior the win on that. The
Yeah,
technical
that's it.
aspect, Doc,
Yeah, Airplane runs away with it technically. Yeah.
that I'm not sure that. See, that's the thing with what
Oh,
Airplane was up
really?
against last time. Obviously. But what the technical aspects of Airplane was going for, they nailed. The technical aspects of 13th Warrior, they absolutely nailed as well.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. All
So
right.
going for that, so 13th Warrior won for the story, but the technical aspect, that's really where the battle is going to be because
Yeah. Well, and I think this brings us back into what I've brought this up before. They both accomplished what they were after, technically perfectly. Airplane took way more risks. Every scene was a risk on Airplane.
and I agree. So
So,
the thing is like the automatically the one that's going to go for the recommendation is Airplane.
yeah.
But the technical aspect, you're right. They just threw literally everything at it. The amazing thing, none of them failed.
Yeah. No, that's what's crazy about this movie is that
Yeah.
these were wild swings and every one of them hit. Like how?
Yeah.
How was that even possible? I mean, not even the Scary Movie franchise pulled that off.
No, that's a really good point. Okay, so how good was the story for 13th Warriors? So that's the thing that's like so we're going to have to start mixing some things here. Because Airplane is the recommendation. However, 13th Warrior has become a cult classic, and there are so many people that would recommend that. There are so many people that would recommend Airplane as well.
But that's
How
also kind of one of
good
those
is the
like,
story?
yeah, I mean that's kind of I mean, okay.
Let's go for general
For
audience. Let's go for that.
general audience wise, I mean that's still tough because I mean, Airplane's the one that started it all. It is the hands down best out of all of them still. Many have tried, none have quite done it, you know.
Not this
Um
good.
but that's all but it's also like that's one of those movies that clips of it are enough. You can still see clips of it floating around the internet and people get their fix.
Yeah.
13th Warrior is the get people together, sit down on the couch, get the popcorn out, turn out the lights kind of movie.
So which one is the better movie? Because I want to give it to the 13th Warrior because there's story.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're not wrong there.
Audience, help us out. What do you like? What do you got? Like Airplane versus 13th Warrior. This is after the preliminaries. This is where it's getting tough.
Yeah, I think I think I'm gonna have to go with 13th Warrior on this one, simply by the nature of the fact that I think I would need to recommend it to somebody. When it comes to Airplane, I don't think you need to tell anybody that they want to see this movie.
Okay.
Most people are already aware of it, even if they had not seen it. I mean, I remember, like you were saying, you were surprised to discover you hadn't seen the movie. You'd seen so many bits and pieces of it, you
Yeah.
thought you'd seen it, but you hadn't actually. And I think that's kind of where Airplane sits for most people, is that we're all pretty aware of most of it. And you can enjoy it without ever actually taking the time to sit down and watch it all the way through. That's possible. With 13th Warrior, that's the kind of movie where you have to turn to someone and go, no, you actually need to sit down and watch this movie. And so because
We got the audience did kick in.
Oh yeah.
13th Warrior also is able to entice people to read Beowulf.
Oh, that is a very good point. But in your case, Airplane did entice you to want to watch the airport movies. So I mean,
well, it was it was Airplane mixed with the fact of what we learned about Independence Day and that mishap about Robert Loggia.
Right. Okay.
So that was the extra thing that on that.
Okay.
But I think I want to give it to 13th Warrior.
Yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and give it to 13th Warrior on that one. Boy, it's a tough one. It's a squeaker though, because you don't get much more classic of a movie than Airplane. That's the thing.
That is true. That did make it tougher. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So 13th Warrior, moving on. Oh, this is not fair. Oh, I don't know how I'm gonna fight this one.
What is your random system that you're choosing here?
Just however it winds up in the folder.
Oh, okay. I see.
Whichever, like, because they just wound up randomly in there. Oh, wait a minute. No, it's alphabetically. Borrowers and Bound. I'm very dumb. That was a championship moment for me. All right, so this round, the Borrowers versus Bound.
Borrowers versus Bound. Wow.
I don't think I'm going to be able to win. I mean, who do we care about more? Actually, I think
Corky. I mean, Gina Gershon's character Corky, like 90% of the tension is she going to get out of this alive?
Nah.
No, really?
No, I think like Jennifer Tilly's character was the one that I was really worried about.
Her character is definitely in the shit. Yeah,
like Gershon's character, like the whole yeah, I'm lesbian.
Which
like,
she's obviously she's so obviously in over her head right away because Jennifer Tilly is playing her immediately. She thinks she's Miss Tough Lady, but Jennifer Tilly's got her in the palm of her hand right off the bat, and we all see it.
Very much. That's like so. Okay, I did care about the story in Bound more than the Borrowers. I have to get that. The technical aspect. There is the pre-Matrix testing everything out on Bound before they did the Matrix. Mm-hmm. Then there is the unbelievable good job that they did on filming people as miniatures in the Borrowers.
No, that's true. Yeah.
The technical aspect, I want to give it to the Borrowers.
Sure.
Because Bound was like conceptual art, but the Borrowers was teams, scores of people mixing multiple different kinds of art styles to pull that off.
Rounding up that many Irish people and making them look small. Yeah.
I mean, I'm still blown away when I think about it.
Yeah.
Now, the one that I would recommend That's
I'm
a
going
tough
with
one.
Bound. I'm going with
And I
Bound
want to
a
go with
full way. Yeah.
Borrowers because how well, because that was the perfect era of visual effects mixing with CG.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
that was the perfect era. So anytime that I want to reference somebody back to it, it's Jurassic Park, it's The Borrowers, and it's
Right.
just a couple
Not.
others.
Yeah. Not doing.
Terminator 2.
Right. Yeah. Not leaning on CGI, but using CGI in a way to augment the really good practical effects. Yes. That was a kind of a golden age.
Hmm.
That yeah we've lost for sure. And yeah, I
So
guess yeah, Borrowers definitely is in there with it along with the others. But I mean that's the thing is like I think that, I mean the
and
only
I
thing
would
that I would separate.
sticking to the same concept of general audiences.
Mhm.
I feel like Borrowers automatically wins.
Oh well,
However,
sure.
Bound, if we're speaking just to the adult audience, everything like that, like there is that lesbian sex scene in Bound that pretty much I think is
You got to be
the
at least 12 years old to appreciate that. Yeah, no, for sure.
well, the point that I was taking with that is I think that is the best sex scene in cinema history.
No, I don't disagree at all. Yeah.
And the story behind it as well, they would not allow any cuts. Like they had to choreograph it so well that they didn't want to allow any cuts in there, so they couldn't send it off to the editors and have the editors toss cuts from like porn actors and stuff like that in there.
Right, yeah.
So
They didn't want the studio to
this
do
one
any
really
sort
is a
of yeah.
toss. This one really is kind of a toss for me because I really want to say The Borrowers because there's also John Goodman's acting in there that you don't
Yeah.
get to see enough of that kind of acting from him, and he is perfect.
Also true. Actually,
You
no, that's not true. For that kind of acting, I like there's I mean he's kind of almost I mean maybe not the same character. Like I know that like that character that he's playing in The Borrowers is very much a send up of a specific celebrity individual whose name will not be mentioned. But like
don't even
as
think you
far as
need
just
to
sort
look
of
at the suit.
as far as like overall general like character goes, he kind of plays the same character in Oh Brother Where Art Thou? Like in that whole like over
Oh,
the top acting style,
way
he
less
does
comedy.
okay, less
Oh
comedy
my
for
god.
sure, but
That that's
it's that
that's the
same
thing.
over the top thing.
Like
Yeah,
John Goodman doing slapstick, like going
yeah,
over the top, being loud, being big, really committing. That's John Goodman.
yeah.
Slapstick, not a lot, not enough.
No, I guess that's true. Yeah,
So
I'm still sticking
mm,
with Bound on this one because it like that's the thing is like I can think of specific individuals with kids that I would recommend The Borrowers to. I would kind of recommend Bound to everybody. I'd just wait a couple years till the kids were old enough and then I'd recommend it to them, you know?
see, I don't. I kind of disagree there because the borrowers, I had a fantastic time with it as an adult.
Okay.
So
All right.
I don't think there is an age limit
Probably
on the
not.
borrowers. I think
No.
no matter how old you are, I think you will get a kick out of it.
Maybe to a certain degree, yeah. I mean, I think would have enjoyed it more if I was watching it with my kids when they were kids. Like, I don't know if they'd, I mean, they're both in their 20s now, so I don't think they'd dig it as much. But that's the thing is like,
Don't know.
I would have enjoyed this more as a family movie back when my kids were smaller, you know?
All right, I'm gonna concede for Bound, but this is the last time that I'm conceding for Bound. Next time, like
Bound's going down.
once we get into the semifinals, that's when like I'm gonna start.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
All right.
okay. So I'll give this one to Bound. Bound gets this one. Oh, there's no way I'm not winning this one.
Oh, boy.
Candyman versus the Burbs.
Oh, no.
I
That's
do
not
feel a little bad
fair. That's a beating, my friend. That's a.
coming from the man who just said alphabetical is a good way to do this. So story
I'm not
wise,
keeping track of these. Story wise, yeah, okay, yeah. Candyman
Candyman.
has a better story.
Technical wise,
Technical
ooh,
live bees, man. I mean, you're never gonna beat the
Candyman.
live bees.
Recommendations moving forward.
Well, the Burbs, but that's just me.
That is just you. That is
Yeah.
just you. I think anybody else would recommend Candyman over the Burbs. unless you are having a specific kind of night.
Yeah.
You know, that's really like, I only want comedy and that's it.
Right. Yep.
And yeah. Okay. We made up for time with that one. Ooh, I think I'm gonna win this one too.
Oof.
All right, this round goes to, well, I guess we don't know yet, but I think we know. All right, Dragonheart versus Fear of a Black Hat.
Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know, but let's go ahead and get the first one out of the way. It's Dragonheart. We care more about the characters in Dragonheart than we do the characters in Black Hat.
I suppose that is true. That is technically true.
But
yes.
Now the technical
but also at the same
aspect.
But remember, at the same time, you're not supposed to care about the characters in Fear of a Black Hat.
And
that's where I'm saying
that's where the technical aspect becomes in, because damn, Dragonheart did amazing, but it did everything it was supposed to. Fear of a Black Hat did amazing, and it really hammered home everything it was supposed to.
Right.
So, I don't know,
just like an Airplane, it took wild swings in everything that they did.
And they all landed. They all.
Yep.
You know, I can't think of any that didn't. I can't think of any that didn't.
I feel
there
probably
was
like
that
one or
school
two
scene that is not going to land with people these days. But you know, I mean, well, no, I mean, it's a comedy. Either you're going to laugh at that or you're not. And
right?
If you're not, you're really not. Okay, but for which one actually succeeded for what it was meant to do more? Dragonheart versus Fear of a Black Hat. Man, every character I was meant to hate in Dragonheart, I hated. Every character I was meant to love in Dragonheart, oh, I loved. Brother Gilbert might be the most perfect side character that I've ever seen, ever. Tying it in with Avalon and that speech that Sean Connery gives about the oath of Avalon.
Right.
I mean, damn. Like Fear of a Black Hat, what do you got?
And I mean, okay. Granted, in Dragonheart, like when we do finally, like we spend the whole movie hearing about the rules of the knighthood, the honorable rules of knighthood, and it isn't until we actually hear the ghost of King Arthur speak the rules in their entirety in that moment that it kind of like it is a weird kind of encapsulates everything that's happening. It was a very deep moment. It was a very good, it's kind of, it made me want to sit there and and like learn calligraphy so I could write those rules down and put them up on my wall or something like that.
They were good. That's a good moral code. I mean,
right.
It was.
On the other hand, Fear of a Black Hat had booty juice.
I mean, but that's the thing. It did exactly.
That
no,
was
but
not
you're right. That's the
funny
thing.
as it was to me.
No, probably.
Yeah.
But the thing was, it literally hammered home everything that it meant to.
Yes.
Like what was supposed to be a joke was a joke. What was supposed to be commentary was successful commentary. Yep. It did amazing.
It really did. Yeah.
Yeah. The one that I would recommend moving forward, it's Dragonheart for me.
I'm still gonna stick with Fear of a Black Hat.
Okay, so then it boils down to like which one did which one technically succeeded.
Yeah.
And I love the practical effects that they used in Dragonheart, and the fact that they had the practical effects only for one scene. Like they really went gung ho to do that, and I really appreciated that. So
but again, there is. I mean, and I brought this up at the episode. Between Dragonheart and Jurassic Park, Jurassic Park's budget was only $20 million more than Dragonheart's, but the gulf in quality between them was way wider. So,
and that is where that is true. That's not the only thing that I'm surrounding it with. Because they did run into a lot of problems. They ran into some budget problems. They ran into a studio getting shut down, and a lot of their stuff just wasn't compatible with the new thing. So that is kind of shit hit the fan. They still succeeded this much. And
okay.
Thing is, it still is top tier for its time. Go ahead and go back and
You know,
watch the Super Mario Brothers movie and tell me that it ain't top tier.
sure. No,
Like
I'm not
you're
disagreeing with you there,
like
but I
when you're
do
comparing
also.
it to the absolute best, yeah, the absolute best of the time, like there's just no competing with that.
I'm gonna have to disagree because I actually remember when this movie came out in theaters, and I do
Mhm.
remember that was one of the things that everybody, like, of the people who were dogging on the movie,
Oh
like,
really?
their main thing was the fact that the CGI dragon looked like shit in a time when, generally speaking,
See,
people
that's
had higher
weird because
expectations.
the like Draco and Dragonheart looked better than the Brontosaurus do in the opening, like the first time you get to see the Brontosaurus in Jurassic Park.
I think the general issue had to do with the fact that, even though, like, body shape wise, and I don't know if this was a choice or if this was a demand on Connery's part, but the very fact that they actually, like, did face tracking on Connery and even shaped the dragon's face to look like Connery so that face tracking would match, kind of brought the dragon into this weird sort of cartoony, uncanny valley realm. He looked more like a cartoon character than a dragon. And I think
And
that's kind of what bothered people.
I was okay with it. Like that was like they did
Pomorphize. Yes, you were on the right
anthropomorphize.
track.
Wow. Wow, that word just escaped me like crazy. Um they did. And I do agree, but I like it. I like
Okay.
looking at the cover of Dragonheart and actually being able to see one of my favorite actors of all time in that dragon.
Hmm.
But
Okay.
maybe that is because I have such a deep fondness for Sean Connery. I'm not sure. And I mean, I have known this movie inside and out since I was a child.
Sure. Yeah.
So there is the nostalgic aspect on that. But like I said, like Jurassic Park was mostly practical effects.
Hmm.
You can't really compare that to something that actually is CG.
Okay.
Like you can't. Like, that's why I compared it to the Brontosaurus when they first like and Sam Neill like taking his glasses off and oh my god
Right.
that whole
Yeah.
thing. Draco looks better than that.
Okay. All right.
So I gotta give that to Dragonheart because Jurassic Park was not a CG movie. It did incredible things with practical effects.
No, that's true. Okay. I mean, yeah, okay. Yeah. I guess it's gonna have to go to Dragonheart, which I am not
Yes.
happy with at all, because, in my opinion, I enjoyed Fear of a Black Hat so much more than Dragonheart. Dragonheart wasn't bad. It wasn't
I
bad,
very
but
much
Fear of a Black
enjoyed.
Hat was great, in my opinion. And
I
and
very
it's
much did enjoy Fear of a Black Hat. I am not saying at all that I didn't. I want to be very, very clear on that. But damn, you could like find a human being on this planet that is going to shed a tear for Fear of a Black Hat.
okay. All right.
This round is frequency versus Independence Day.
Oh, god damn.
Yep. All right. Preliminary,
Oh,
the speedy, the easy fights or the preliminary rounds. Yeah, that is gone.
yeah.
Okay. Which one do we care about more? I feel
Mm,
like frequency just steals that one. Like there's
yeah.
there's there's not
For
really
Well,
that's
it's for
not
this.
that's not where it's at. Yeah.
Right. It's for the same reason that the birdcage did it before, was because the only reason that it wins is because there are fewer characters, and so you have more time to get involved in them, and so it's kind of a technicality that you care about it more. Yeah.
Yes. Um the technical aspects of these two films, which one came out on top? Because Independence Day did not drop a single thing.
No,
Frequency
and
did
they
not miss a single beat. Like they're
no.
both like as far as the science goes, as far as the lore goes, as far as everything, they're perfect.
I'm going to go with Independence Day on this one,
I
because
just it might be the same reason as me. The practical
be
effects on the explosion.
not the practical effects and the
Oh,
explosion. on the reveal of the spaceship coming out of the clouds.
Oh my God, that is iconic. You are
Yes.
correct. You are
And that is
correct.
that is one of those things that I like. I kind of feel sorry for people today because that is an iconic scene now.
You can
For
never see
those of
that for the
us who,
first time again.
that's the thing, is for those of us who saw this movie on opening weekend in the theaters, that was a pants shitting reveal that nobody saw coming. And oh my God, it was so amazing. And it was the most amazing special effects and the best reveal ever in the history of cinema. Now it's a meme practically, you know?
Yeah, it's
So it's
kind
like,
of it's kind of boilerplate.
yeah.
But
And
even though, I
so,
mean, but no, that's not true because they screw up so much about like the the shapes of clouds, and not
oh
the
yeah.
coloring, everything. Like they make it look too too good.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
No, like that. Man, this is
But
still
yeah, so for
Independence Day.
that,
Still
yeah,
really
it's a really, really, really tough call between these two. So I'm going to go on that, just on that one thing, and that is the reveal of the ship in the clouds in
well.
Independence
I'm
Day
gonna
gets the
give
win.
Independence Day it for the overall recommendation. I'm giving it to Independence Day because Independence Day has how many iconic moments? The
That, oh, that's true.
explosions, the
Yeah,
reveal, the president's speech,
the line,
Quaid
one
going
liners.
into
Yeah,
the like the end, like "Hello, boys, I'm back." Like,
yep.
oh my God.
It's yeah,
Which,
quotable movie for decades. Yeah, that's true.
Doc, we went Quaid versus Quaid.
Oh my God, that's right.
What are the odds of that?
We've done a couple of Dennis Quaid movies. The odds were actually pretty good. We've
That is
done we
fair.
in fact I think we've done like, see, we've done do three
No,
Dennis Quaid movies? Two Dennis
uh,
Quaid movies.
two Randy, two Dennis.
Okay. So yeah,
It was the
they were gonna
paper
go
and Independence Day, and then Frequency and Dragonheart.
right, all right. So they were due to go head and head eventually.
It's weird that we actually
We
did
just
that.
barely saved Dennis Quaid from going up against Dennis Quaid.
Oh, true. Ooh, that would
Yeah.
have been a fun one. All right, so Independence Day, clearly, clear winner. But Frequency does win on the story.
No, for
Like,
sure.
you cannot take that away from it. Now we have Master and Commander and One Night at McCool's.
Oh,
It's not fair.
no, it's not fair, but I mean, it's a fact. Master and Commander just kicks him out of the.
Story,
I mean, yeah,
Master and Commander.
yeah,
Technical,
100%. Yep,
Master and Commander.
hands
Recommending,
down. Master and
Master and
Commander,
Commander.
100%. Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
so
that's
sorry for One Night at McCool's. It is such a good movie. It is so much fun, but it just doesn't make sense to even. You
that
can't.
was, yeah, that was Triangle Man versus Particle Man right there, is what that was.
That was.
That
Oof.
is an old reference that none of you will get.
I didn't even get that, man. What are you talking about?
Ooh, okay. I'll have fun with this one.
Yeah, you will. Predestination versus Requiem for a Dream.
Predestination was an audience recommendation, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. However, that was like I loved it, so I just kind of
Oh, okay.
adopted. I
So
just kind of adopted it.
gotcha. Okay.
All right. So who we care about more? I do care
Oh,
about Sarah Snook in Predestination much more than any single character in Requiem,
but
but I do care about
in
half. Yeah, I care about half of the characters in Requiem.
Sarah Snook, it just, I mean, I know we talked about it during the episode, but I still don't think we talk enough about how crazy amazing her performance was.
She did
Um,
very well.
but yeah, and it's like,
Even ditching her accent for that too.
right, yeah, and like even when like before, like we kind of get it. It's, you know, it's not like it's a big reveal, but even when she's basically playing, you know, she's playing the future version of herself as a man, telling the story of past version of herself as a woman. You kind of care about them both. You care about her character, and
Mm-hmm.
even if you haven't drawn the connection yet that they're the same person, you're still looking at this guy telling the story about this lady, and you're feeling his connection to her in a sort of ethereal way. You care about what his investment is
Right.
in the story that he's telling before you even know what his connection is. And so it's like, not only do you care about him, but you care about every version of him separately.
All right, so fair enough. You're fighting for Predestination.
Oh,
Because I
100%.
actually enjoyed both of these, and I know you hate Requiem, I don't get to fight for Predestination, and that bums me out a little bit because I love this so much. All right. The mom in Requiem, the journey that she went down, where you think that she's being hustled or pranked or something like that, but then she goes to get prepared for the being on TV and she winds up going on diet pills, not knowing that it was speed and then getting addicted to it. Like, what happens to her? The mental, like the psychotic break that she goes into, like, my heart was in knots. My stomach was turning, everything that happened to her. And what happened to her by the end, all she did was love her son. And she
Mm.
like defended him. She like pushed for him. She did all this like, and but the thing was, she wasn't strong enough to love somebody that was that messed up. And it wound up breaking her. What happened with Jennifer Connelly's character? Honestly, I really didn't care. That is a true story that happens all the time. Rich people, like, they have this easy way, all this, they get bored, they want to challenge everything, then they wind up in drugs and they screw themselves up. I empathize with the fact that it does exist. I do
Mm.
somewhat sympathize with that, but compared to what happens to everybody else, no. No, no, no. Like, what happened to the mom broke me. What happened to the son, or not the son, but Marlon, going
Mm.
through and like his entire journey, basically trying to find a way to make his mom proud of him, and how that has destroyed him and how warped his vision is of it and what he does, and like all of it, how much pressure was on him and how much he was pushing on himself and how much it was cracking him. I felt every bit of pain that I was supposed to for these characters. That's just, oh, like, I know you didn't like the film style. Definitely get that. But the story that was being told there, feel less paradoxical, but damn, much more important and real. And that's why I think Requiem is that.
Look, I realize that this is not a thing that I'm like 100% familiar with on a personal level, but
Hmm?
that's kind of like, again, it all felt very like it all felt very cookie cutter to me. I did not see anything in this other than it was four different after school specials all being played at once and done badly. Like
Oh,
there
I
was
disagree with the badly part. I heavily disagree with the badly part. But that is a preferential thing.
Mm.
So like we got to remove that from the aspect. It's just got to be about the
I don't
story.
I but that's the thing. It's like even story wise, like I said, there was nothing there. You know,
But
like
the
it was.
story was the like the process of addiction, how they like the story was how different people wind up going down that path. Like, that was the story. The vehicle was the drugs.
Yeah, I get
Where
that,
it took them was different places.
but like I said, it's like it's like an after school special, where it's just like drugs are bad. This is all the things that happen to you. It didn't even bother including any of the parts where we see what they're losing. We don't see them.
What? We see the dude lose his arm. We see the guy go to prison. We see the mom wind up in a like a psychiatric institution, and we see the girl wind up being a crack whore. You're kidding me.
We don't really see them be anything else. That's the thing. We don't know who these people are other than like they jump months ahead of time. We never see any of their lives other than the chain of events that leads them to these disasters.
Yeah,
Like
because
we
that
don't
was the
see them
story.
have we don't see them like we never. I guess that's the thing is like we're never given a chance to care about these people because all they are
And
is
what I'm wondering
caricatures
is
of addicts.
how you didn't care about them. Like, that's the thing, because you're saying that we didn't. I very much did. A lot of the people that I talked to, commenters that came through for the episode, like a lot, like, that's the thing. You didn't. but it did land with a lot of people. I'm wondering like how it like what I think it was just honestly I think it was just the editing style that really just lost you, man. Because
I,
like the thing was there was no happy ending. There
right.
was an ending. They went on a journey and it just was not a good one. And the movie, the story, it did exactly what it was meant to. It hurt you. And that was the thing. It could not hurt you if you didn't care about the character.
And then that's the thing. Yeah. It's like I did not see why, like, from right the get-go, they're just a bunch of addicts.
Not
Like,
the
yeah,
mom.
we're I mean, okay, sure. Yeah, fair. She's not exactly,
And that was the thing. Like because from an addict's mind, a lot of it, it's like you don't understand this, you don't understand this, you don't understand this. Then you watch it, you see how they like make those justifications to themselves, and a big part of it, like, and that's the thing, like kind of like with Matthew Bright and Freeway, where
Mhm.
you like it kind of seems like you have to have come from someplace like that. I'm not sure how you connect to a character like that so easily, but when it comes to something like this, there's such a heavy disconnect.
Oh, Jesus. You know, 'cause here's the thing, and this is the worst because it's been months since I watched the thing, and I did not
And I'm
enjoy it.
pretty sure
So
you
it's
ain't
not
going
like
back to do it again.
that's the thing. Is like I would love to deconstruct all of this, but it would require me to watch the movie a second time, and I'm just not going to do that. It's never
Uh,
happening.
Anybody in the audience want to toss in? Oh, man, I don't feel like that's fair because not a lot of people have seen Predestination and Requiem.
I mean, it really, really comes down to very simple. Like, I did not hate myself for watching Predestination with all of, whatever, I've even, even with my preconceived um, judgments when it comes to Robert Heinlein, I'm even willing to take those into account that there were parts of this movie that I thought were kind of out there that maybe most people didn't notice solely because they're not Robert Heinlein fans. They don't know his work. They don't know how his weird fucking mind works. I was kind of a little sensitive to that, but I was still able to enjoy the movie. Requiem was just fucking pain. That's all it was. Every second of that movie, I wanted it to be over now. And not in a, oh, this is such a sad story way. It was in a, this is such a bad movie way. Like there is a difference between watching a movie like Buffalo 66 that is an arguably sad story about someone's decline that is painful to watch because his character is so damaged versus a
Mhm.
movie that is just badly fucking made, and that is Requiem for a Dream.
So we're still on the story part.
And
Stop
it's a
talking about the technical shit
I'm
because
not talking
yes,
about the technical shit. I am talking about the
Predestination
story
won
as
the
well. The
test.
story is also bad because the story also had no substance. It was entirely made up entirely of
Completely
headlines
disagree.
from newspapers from the fucking 60s about how bad drugs are. That's all it was. It was
Completely
regurgitated
disagree.
bullshit.
So as they were going through and they were figuring out like how the story like was going to be put together, get the drugs, figure out the drugs, do this, the anger, the effects that the withdrawals had between Connolly and Leto, like we saw them being tortured by the effects of it. We saw what was happening to their characters. We saw the drugs defining the characters and every part of it. And that was the point of the movie. And I get like the movie is pain, the movie very much is. But where Predestination heavily goes in and plays on, and I want to say gimmicks, because some of them are. Um, the loss of a baby
Mhm.
guarantees to make you like
Oh yeah.
basically there are sympathetic versions of Save the Cat.
Oh yeah.
Like
No.
they just went through story beats. You lost your love. You lost
Yeah.
your child. You lost your ability for a child. Now you lost your gender. Like it was just attacking you with things like that.
No, for sure.
And it just hit. And at the end of the movie, I remember your point on it that it was kind of weird that it kind of ended basically because of homophobia. Like
Right.
that's what ended that. And that's just eh.
Which I do not remember what that point was. It's been too long now.
Well, yeah, it was just Ethan Hawke versus an older Ethan Hawke, and he's like, "I love you," and he's like, bang.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
no, like how that story ended, eh.
Yeah.
How Requiem for a Dream ended, it hurt. It hurt me. So, I mean, story wise, I gotta say, like the way that it left me, I gotta give it to Requiem. I really do. Technical wise, I gotta give it to Predestination. But like moving forward for recommendations, the fact that Requiem for a Dream is on the list of 1001 movies that you must see before you die, that there is so much message in this movie that comes with that is what turns it into the must see. Predestination, there are a lot of people that I wouldn't recommend it to for the same reasons as Birdcage, like for general
Okay.
audiences, things like that. I think Predestination, it would be much more of a miss because a lot of people wouldn't understand the science and they get lost in that.
Yeah.
And they would
Well,
be
and
thinking
also,
about that more than the story.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, the weird paradoxical nature of the whole thing. Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like,
I
so,
think
I mean,
there was even like, yeah, we spent a lot of time trying to figure out where the heck this person even came from in the first place. Was never really, but yeah.
yeah, like that in itself was a paradox. Like the fact that she existed, like she had to have been created for the whole paradox to have even existed.
Right. Yeah.
And unlike Umbrella Academy, they didn't really try to explain that. They were like, not too complicated, skip.
Right.
So I hated arguing against Predestination. And I don't think Requiem's going to make it past the semifinals. But I think we got to give this to Requiem, man.
I'll tell you one thing for sure. However this shakes out, I will not let Requiem win Best Picture on this one. I don't care who I have to kill. It's not happening. All right.
I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't, but it's just the fact that it has gone up against the two that it has gone up against, that is how it has gone this way. Plain and simple.
Okay.
All right. God, I really did not enjoy arguing against Predestination.
I
That movie was
don't
so
I don't
good.
enjoy talking about Requiem period.
And now you have to do it a third time.
I
How's
know. I'm not
how's
happy
that?
about this at all.
We have The Bone Collector versus Secondhand Lions.
Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah,
Oh
see what I'm
God.
saying?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Man, that's gonna be mm.
All right, so right off the bat, story. Secondhand Lions versus The Bone Collector.
I mean, that's a tough comparison because
Mm,
because we're talking really because I mean I know we kind of go back and forth a bit on the whole like is it fair to compare these two very different movies? In this case, it is really like wildly unfair to compare these two because
that is.
the reasons you care for because you care for the characters equally for different reasons. Like you want to see the relationships uh
Yeah.
succeed in Secondhand Lions. In Bone Collector, the relationships are there that you wish to see succeed, but they are secondary to the fact that you want to see them succeed in solving the fucking murder case. Like get you like we want your relationship to succeed so you can get past your shit and solve the murder.
Well, that's the
Um
thing. Both of these movies did multiple storytelling very well.
yeah,
Secondhand Lions, what happened between Jasmine and Robert Duvall, we cared. We
yeah.
cared as much as Haley Joel Osment cared.
No, that's true.
Um,
Yeah,
Finding out whether the money was real or fake, we got invested too.
yeah,
What was going to happen to Haley Joel, we got invested. Whether Robert Duvall was going to survive. Like, The Lion,
yeah.
like, they did such a good job of making you care about every single thing in this movie.
That's true. Yeah.
And then switching
Even
over to the
even when
bone.
they seemed like
Yeah.
weirdly inconsequential stuff. Yeah, but you were invested in every
You were
moment. Yeah.
invested in the salesman.
Exactly. Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
incredible. But switching over to the Bone Collector, is there a single character that didn't fascinate you? I mean, the captain, Ed O'Neill, the partner, Angelina Jolie, Link,
Well,
and or Denzel, and Queen Latifah.
yeah,
Not one of them did not
but
steal my attention.
but also at the same time, bear in mind there was a bit of that misdirect going. Like we were supposed to pay attention to everybody to kind of suspect everybody at the same time.
True, and that
So
is more over to the technical win
right,
because the
yeah.
film did a great job of tricking me into following all of that because I pay attention to people's eyes. So the
Hmm,
fact that they cast people with similar color eyes and all this, and they made that very obvious.
right.
Ooh, Bone Collector did good on the technical aspect, but oh, so did Secondhand Lions.
That's the thing,
I'm
yeah.
trying to think if I cared more about any of the individual characters in the Bone Collector because there is that scene in both of these movies. Haley Joel is being attacked by the guy, comes get rescued by the lion.
Right,
Link is getting attacked by the murderer, come and gets rescued by Angelina Jolie.
right.
Like, I think I cared more about Link. Like, I think
See,
I had more anxiety and tension in that moment, even if I didn't actually like care about the person, the character, the actor. Cared more like in that moment, I was more drawn into that because I didn't think Haley Joel was in any risk at all in this.
I guess that yeah, that is true. There was a little bit more investment there.
Then Angelina Jolie and like what happened with the story between her wanting to quit the force and her father committing suicide and Link
Right.
wanting to commit suicide himself. There's like,
Yeah.
and like, you barely even catch that story unless you're absolutely paying attention.
And I guess that's true. That it was a pretty interesting way of like fleshing out these characters in these kind of like seemingly inconsequential info dumps without having to put a spotlight on them in the same way the story about Jasmine literally has a spotlight put on it.
Yes.
So I suppose in that regard, I'm still not 100% ready to commit though.
No, I get that. Okay, let's I think we need to call this one a tie
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
because like
agree.
both these movies did incredibly well
They
in
really did.
making us to care. The technical aspects, I want to give it to the Bone Collector, but the Bone Collector was coming off of the heels of a book that already had like with all the let's say with all the clues,
Right.
the things that Link had to put together, everything that was
Right.
dropped. The fact that the murderer was leaving all these clues way longer than the movie was going on and then the story
Right.
that we were following, those kinds of details were incredible for the technical aspect of the story.
Yes, that's true.
Don't know if Secondhand
However,
Lions. Go ahead.
well, I mean, I mentioned this before in the last round. Secondhand Lions had two very disparate genres going on. It had that pale
Which was yes.
Midwestern and then the Spielbergian fantasy that were both done perfectly in their own way and blended together perfectly in a way that shouldn't have worked but did. And so in that regard,
I
I
also
think
want to
it kind
give
of
the composer like incredible props on Secondhand Lions.
right.
Like Bone Collector, same, but it has that like that significant eeriness that
Yeah.
really follows in with a lot of movies that follow that. Secondhand Lions, that adventure music,
Yeah.
like everything, like the music told you what to feel the whole movie, and you really didn't need it because the movie
Right.
did such a good job.
Secondhand Lions threw in a shot of a giraffe being driven down the highway in Texas.
I
And
thought
it
you were going to
was
talk about the
and it wasn't
chicken
weird.
standing on top of the pig
Also
while
interest
Haley Joel
see
Osment looks down at a plate with bacon and eggs.
right, yeah. Mind you, here's the thing though.
Not
One
a
of
CG
those
shot. Like there are outtakes of the crew actually trying to get that chicken on top of that pig, and like no, that is a real practical shot. That is incredible to
Yep.
me.
But that's the thing is like it kind of looked a little awkward. Like as much as they put into it and as funny as it was, it looked a little awkward.
It looks so
The
awkward that it looked like CG because
That's the
like yeah,
thing. It kind of you kind of suspected it was. Meanwhile, the giraffe though, that was
perfect.
just a beautiful shot. It was seamless.
The fact that
And
they had the wardrobe change prepared in their closet for
yeah,
every single time. No, like
and not to mention the fact that that wasn't part of the delivery. They were getting a lion in a different crate. They were not getting a giraffe delivery. The giraffe delivery was going to somebody else.
Also, this
I
is
would
how
like
we
to know
found
that
out that
story.
Purina makes and delivers lion chow.
Exactly. Yes.
That was a fun fact. I don't know if
So,
I ever would have gotten anywhere else.
but yeah, you know, I mean,
I
it's a
think this
close
one's
call, but I'm
going to
going to
secondhand
secondhand.
lions.
Yeah, secondhand
Yeah.
Lions gets this one. Secondhand Lions is one of those movies that you could sit down and show to the family. You can sit down and watch it as your own comfort film, or you can put it on in the background at a party. There is
True.
no situation that is not appropriate to have Secondhand Lions on. It is remarkably good movie for all situations. Now
You're
what?
gonna hate me.
I mean, I already do, but
I
go on.
know, but this is beyond mean. This is oh, The Illusionist versus The Paper.
Oh, fuck you.
I feel bad for you. I do. This does actually feel mean. Um Which one did you care about the characters more?
I mean, well, see, that's the thing. That's what's rude about this is because I am going to go the paper all the way, knowing it is a losing battle. Okay,
Well,
but I'm
see,
going to do it anyway.
I'm gonna have to go like so. You have basically Robert Duvall versus Paul Giamatti. Like you
Yeah,
have our older characters, a little bit wiser. They have that, you know. And Robert
kind of a
Duvall never gives a poor performance, but
no.
man, did Paul Giamatti deliver.
Well, see, here's the thing. I don't know if I would match Duvall against Giamatti. I would match uh um
I was more thinking
Quaid. I
like
was going to say
starring.
Quaid.
Really,
I would put Quaid as the Giamatti role because he's more because that's the thing is like Giamatti was the
I'm
kind
not
of
trying
the,
to match. I'm not trying to match the characters. I'm more trying to match like the star and then the starring supporting.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Which to me
But
in the
that which is
paper was Robert Duvall.
okay. See, that's a tough one because that thing is such an ensemble cast. Because it's like you've got like yeah, Henry uh, um,
Michael
Michael
Keaton.
Keaton is the main character, but he is kind of like in every scene that he's in with someone else, whether it's Glenn Close or Robert Duvall or Marissa Tomei. In that scene, they are the co-star. They are the second star of the movie in that scene. And then
True.
Marissa Tomei leaves, and Randy Quaid comes in, and all of a sudden, Randy Quaid is the star, is the second star of the movie next to it. Like that's kind of what was remarkable about this movie is that everybody owns the moment they're in. You know,
Okay. All right. Yeah.
which don't get me wrong, you're right that Giamatti definitely does that in this movie for sure.
But Rufus Sewell, Paul Giamatti,
Mm,
Jessica Biel. Every time there were two actors in this movie, they could have been the star of the movie. The movie could
no,
have
that's
been
true.
about them.
Yeah, that is
Absolutely
true.
through and through. Um, I cared more about Eisenheim's torture and his loss and everything that he
Mm,
was going through than any character in the paper. They
okay.
had to set up Marissa Tomei to be sick and everything like that in order
Mm,
to elicit more from us.
right.
Like they really had to do that. The consequences for what Giamatti went through with the illusionist versus, I mean, there were no consequences for the paper. Nothing actually happened. It was a day in the life of.
Except that Henry got fired at the end, and even
I
though
forgot about that.
yeah, he gets fired at the end, and it's
I
kind
figured
of
he got
like
his job back. I just kind
that's
of
the thing
assumed so
they leave that open. Like yeah, we kind of
because of the
Glenn Close
conversation with Glenn Close. Yeah, yeah.
Glenn Close's character does reverse her decision, but at no point do we ever actually hear the words, okay, Henry can come back. As far as we know, the movie ends with him being unemployed. So,
Yeah. But yeah, and I didn't really care about because what happened to him, he definitely got himself he got himself
oh,
fired. He
for sure.
lost himself that job, but he
Absolutely.
was the character that I stand by this. Every newsroom, every magazine, every outlet needs
Right.
a person
As
with high morality and the just perfect integrity.
we as the news consumer want someone like Henry
Yes.
in that job, even though literally no one else in the newspaper business wants him there.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you got the one character that you're really rooting for, but the rest of the characters you're mostly just entertained by.
Yeah.
The
Fair.
illusionist, I think you care about and or hate. every character that shows up in that movie.
Hmm.
Like that's
Okay.
I really cared about Giamatti, really cared about Eisenheim, and man, when they got together at the end of that movie, my God, my heart explodes every time, even though I know it's coming. Like
Okay. All right. No, I see what you're saying there. I
I'm
see
gonna
what
let
you're
that
saying there.
resonate with you, and I'm gonna move on to the second point, the
Okay.
technical win. Now, I am way throwing it to the illusionist on this one because oh my God, where did it fail? And the paper, every machine has a kill switch. You don't need to find Bill who's in the bathroom.
I did bring this up earlier, though. The illusionist did require the use of CGI for the magic tricks. That's kind of a
Only to make them better, but it did tell the story basically from the perspective of somebody who had never seen that magic trick, which is basically what we were just talking about with Independence Day. We were blown
okay.
away. Other
I
people
see.
are no longer blown away. The
That is a fair
film
point.
pretty much did that to give us the same level of wow that the audience would have. So I feel like it was necessary.
Okay. Okay. All right. Hmm.
My recommendation is The Paper because it is a perfect film. But I
It
think The
seems like we
Illusionist is a
is the
better
winner.
one.
Yeah, it's a 2-1 on the illusionist. It sounds like yes, and
I know that hurts.
it really does. It really does.
Do you
The
have a
paper now available on Netflix till the end of
yes.
this month.
Yeah.
Go see it. The
And
illusionist, whatever.
I am not slamming The Paper in any way. This round, again, not fair. The Skeleton Key versus Remember the Titans.
Ooh. Okay, you know what? It is a fair fight, even though it is pretty obvious who's going to win it. I wouldn't
I'd
say it's
agree.
an absolute. I wouldn't say it's an absolute knockdown drag out the way the
Well, no, that's
last
the
one
thing,
was.
because there are
Mhm.
people who are going to prefer the Skeleton Key over Remember the Titans. But I feel like who you care about more automatically goes to Remember the Titans.
Absolutely.
It's wildly obvious.
Yep.
The technical aspect, man, the Skeleton Key did a great job.
They really did. I mean, it's a close call. Which actually, now that I think about it, I was going to say because of how well polished Remember the Titans was, I was going to say it was going to go with Remember the Titans. But now I'm remembering the fact that again there were more risks in Skeleton Key with the flashbacks to when the hanging took place and the fake bog so that they could shoot in a bog without having to worry about their actors getting eaten. These were these were big deals.
They really were. I
So
mean, but placing all the actors, the town, the vehicles, everything in Remember the Titans actually in the 60s,
yeah,
that is an achievement. That is a
period
hell of
piece
an achievement.
period pieces are a hell of a thing, that's for sure.
Especially being willing to actually destroy a 1950s classic like that in that car accident. Ooh,
Yeah,
I'm
yep.
not even a huge car guy, and that hurt me. No, but hmm,
Hmm.
really, the big argument here is does Remember the Titans win 3 for 3? Because really, that's
Yeah, okay, because yeah, it is definitely gonna get the recommendation nod for sure. Yeah, so I mean, that's what's kind of like to sit there and say like pick one over the other one where there's so many of these that it's like, why do you have to choose? They're both so good, you know. Like that is kind of mean.
because it's literally what we set out to do.
This might have been a bad idea.
We're gonna find out when we see which film like makes it to the end. If it's one that neither of us were expecting, yeah, we did something wrong. So let's see what happens here.
All right, all right.
So let's figure this out because I do want to throw the Skeleton Key some love and I kind of want to give it the technical win. Damn, Remember the
You
Titans,
know,
like it was telling a period piece about racism and man, it crushed it.
yeah, but you know what? Here's the thing. It was polished. It was again, like you mentioned before, this was a Disney film. And so as solid as it was, as well done as it was, as technically perfect as it was, as a period piece cinematographer was, it did have that sort of Disney polish on it.
Okay,
That sort
I'll
of
give you
like
that.
that little bit of a pixie dust fantasy, not quite as gritty as it really could have been kind of thing. Whereas
Fair.
Skeleton Key was right in the muck in both literal and figurative sense. So
Fair. All right, I'll
yeah,
give you
well,
that. So Remember the Titans is taking it,
yeah,
but definitely throwing the Skeleton Key some love.
for sure.
Toys v Tombstone.
Oh no. Oh no. What what have we done? What hath we wrought?
Yeah, that's. I'm not proud of this one.
No. No, I don't want to oh man. Uh
So first off,
that's like that scene from Dark Knight where he's like breaks the pool cue in half and says like we have one position and throws the weapon in front of two guys. Except instead of those two guys, it's your children. That's what this feels like.
I see that. I feel that. I don't want to do this one either. Who do we care? Who did we care about more? Like the Earps, the holidays, what happened with the Cowboys, or Robin and Robin?
I'm gonna go with Robin and Robin on this one. And I'm not.
I gotta see the thing. The thing is, Tombstone is the story about basically America's first attempt of gun control. It's not really about the people. It's about what happened at the OK Corral. And when they tried to take the Cowboys' guns away in city limits and the retaliation that came from the Cowboys.
Sure.
Not about the people. It is like a legend was there. And Wyatt Earp is an American legend, flat out.
True.
Toys actually is character driven.
Yes.
And
It is wildly dependent on their characters. If Robin Williams' character wasn't the way he is, and his brother's character wasn't the way he is, and his sister wasn't the way she is, and his nephew wasn't the way he is, if not for the very specific type of character motivations that these four characters had, this story either doesn't happen or goes in wildly different directions.
agreed. So, gotta give it to Toys. Which
Yep.
I love Toys, love Tombstone, hate doing this.
Yeah. No, I
Which
agree.
one succeeded technically? I'm gonna fight for Tombstone.
You know, I'm gonna have to go with Tombstone on this one too,
Okay,
because
thank God.
as much as I do love the visuals when it comes to toys, there were a couple of scenes where it did come off a little unintentionally hokey, and you
And it
just
just
kind of
didn't
got
age
it
well.
exactly, yeah. And so it
Nothing in
just
Tombstone did not age well.
correct, yep.
Now, for the recommendation, the perfect Western that happens to be a true story featuring some of the greatest actors of the 90s
Yeah.
versus a movie that was giving a political message as a warning, which came true anyway.
Told in such a weirdly storybook, but also kind of psychotic way. A form of visual and emotional filmmaking that I don't think I've seen since. Is
I
there
don't
any
know
other
about, I
movie
don't,
that you can think of that you could say strikes the same tone as
we have
Toys did?
already talked about 45 movies and some of them twice. There's no way I'm going to be able to think of one right now.
Fair, fair, fair. I
I'm
withdraw the
being
question,
honest.
Your
I'm
Honor.
just being But I'm sure there is. There's got to be. But it didn't have Robin Williams.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Except we don't know that yet. Let's talk in 100 years after, and then we'll talk about Bicentennial Man.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. That's a
We
good
don't
point.
know how ahead of its time that movie is. That could have been 100 years ahead of its time.
Boy, that'd be nice.
Could be.
Yep.
And we got Tombstone. That's where I mean, like, if I'm giving a recommendation, I gotta recommend the perfect Western.
That's the thing. Yeah. And
It reigns
Toys
supreme
is
of its genre. I mean, it's
there, and there are I can count them on one hand, but I can think of people I wouldn't recommend toys to because they probably hate it. And
Oh,
so,
agreed.
yeah.
Agreed. Tombstone, I think it like people who don't like westerns would like Tombstone.
No, that's for sure. Yeah, 100%.
All right, that hurt. I didn't like that. All right, but that does officially put us in the semifinals. Oh,
Uh-oh.
we're fighting.
I
The
didn't come here to
first
fight.
round, the first round of the semifinals is the 13th Warrior versus Bound.
Oh, no. There were no sex scenes in the 13th Warrior. How could you even, how could you?
The 13th Warrior didn't need sex scenes. How am I gonna fight this one? How am I gonna fight this one?
this is when the fighting gets dirty because we've gone this deep in.
All right. Um, like Bound had characters that we straight up didn't give a shit about. Characters that popped in, popped out, and were just there for a little bit of star power. Mostly Mickey. Now,
Wow. Okay, hold on. I don't think I no. I mean, even though they were kind of cast as star power and they did kind of pop in, there were no characters that were not integral to the story. Even that fucking wormy guy that came in, while what's his
that
name?
is true.
Freddy or something like that. The guy
Could not tell you. Way too
yeah,
early in
the
the
guy
series.
the guy that Jennifer Tilly is sleeping with before she starts sleeping with Gina Gershon. The fact that Gina Gershon sees him come in kind of sets this whole thing
Okay,
rolling,
okay, thank you for bringing that up. So, in Bound, we have characters who are nasty, who are trying to screw each other over. The whole
Mhm.
movie is a premise over um the femme fatale finally succeeding. Like
Yeah,
she actually wins, pulls one over, everything like that. There are no good guys in this movie. The
sure.
13th Warrior, there are no bad guys in that movie.
Okay. Okay.
Like all of our characters are heroes except that prince.
Right.
Like the prince was the only crappy one. Every man, woman, and child in the 13th Warrior was an example of bravery. Storytelling that came up out of every single aspect of that. The boy who stood on the ship to let the Vikings see him so they know that he's not a ghost. Um, the adaptation from Beowulf into a potential real world adaptation that could have happened.
Right.
Like, awesome. All of those aspects, when you're going story versus story, I really think the 13th Warrior actually brings that, like, brings more heat to it because it is action on top of like pseudo historical drama,
Right.
on top of theologies mixing from multiple cultures. That is awesome.
I mean, you're not wrong here, but that is the difference I would say between what we have is, 13th Warrior is an epic historical piece. That
Mm-hmm.
is what it is. And that's what it was meant to be, and it does pull that off well. While as Bound was supposed to be a smaller, more intimate, tiny story that takes place essentially and almost entirely in two apartments, one and a half, really, considering one of them's not furnished. You know,
Well,
um,
like the best parts of that movie take place there, but there are quite a few different other scenes, and none of the characters, every character in that movie sucked.
but they sucked with a purpose,
That's where you have a fight.
right?
Like, but trying to come up with that concept over which one you actually care about more, because like Jennifer Tilly tricks you into caring for her the same way she tricked Gina Gershon into caring for her, the same way
Fair,
that presumably she tricked Joey Pants into caring for her, and the guy that she lured in first, who was supposed to steal the money, but she tricked Gina Gershon into it. Like,
right?
like Gina Gershon's character I felt for her. I cared for her. I cared about her. Felt bad for Joey Pants, his
Mm-hmm.
character, even though he was a dick. He was getting completely played and everything like that. And I understand that was the point of it. But, still, you got a soft spot for the person getting gaslit. You can't really help
Okay.
that.
Sure.
It was the perfect femme fatale film.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. But I didn't care about any of them, really.
Hmm.
I cared about Ahmed. And I cared about Dennis Storhoy's character. Like when he was facing off against that big redhead and you
Yeah.
thought for a second that he might die,
Right.
I
Okay.
was worried. I did care about the characters that this movie wanted me to care about. And the stakes, oh my God, the stakes in the 13th Warrior were much, much higher.
That's true. Okay.
But I guess it is how you
Mm.
feel about those stakes.
Yeah. See, and it's a tough one for me to say, considering like I saw the 13th Warrior for the first time just for this show, and so I kind of want to sit here and go like, yeah, but it sticks with you. It's like Bound is a movie that I saw for the first time 30 years ago, and it's still like I can't stop thinking about it sometimes. Whenever people are talking about movies that they love, I'm like, oh, who here has seen Bound? Nobody? Because it's always nobody.
Well, so here's the thing, like when you're going with like the recommendations and stuff like that, I may recommend Bound to the right person.
Mm,
I would recommend the 13th Warrior to every person.
okay.
Um, Gina Gershon's acting in Bound, so stiff. And even like a lot of the reports, like lesbians who like do reviews on it and stuff like that, they're like, it was a straight woman acting like what like she thinks a lesbian. It's like pretty much
Okay.
everybody has the same problem with that. Like the acting, little rocky. Uh,
Okay.
Jennifer Tilly's voice, constantly perfect.
Mm,
Some of the insistences that went into the film Bound, it will land with the right audience. With the
mm-hmm.
wrong audience, it'll take them out of the film because you
Okay.
cast extras, and yes, it doesn't reflect real life, but you cast extras to be part of the background, so they perfectly mesh in. When you cast extras to be seen, it kind of messes with the flow of the film.
Okay. Here's the thing. I am fully well aware of why Bound is definitely going to lose on the technical side. So I feel like I really need to defend the story, especially considering how, like, yeah, I story wise, 20 years later, this movie sticks with me. And it's not that there was anything wrong with 13th Warrior. It's just um, I don't feel myself needing to deconstruct the nuances of the 13th Warrior as much as I do
Mm.
with Bound. There is a lot more meat on the bones when it comes to Bound, in my opinion. There's a lot more to work with there. There's a lot more there's a lot more to argue about in Bound than that. That to me kind of gives it more life. And
Okay,
so
so story
Bound.
Bound. Okay, I will
Technical,
concede on that.
yep.
Technical 13th Warrior.
13th Warrior, because I will concede the fact that there was a lot of experimental shit going on in Bound that wasn't perfected yet, because as we discussed before, it was their practice run for the Matrix.
Right, it was them proving that they had the stones to handle the Matrix.
Exactly. Yep.
That is, that 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 might be the
Wow.
worst
Yeah, I
way
did
I
not
could have.
realize it.
Well, I don't think I could have chosen a worse way to describe the
Damn,
gumption that they would
dude.
like. Wow, wow.
That is either
I
going to be the most popular clip or what gets you canceled.
I think I didn't just drop one ball. I think I dropped 4 balls on that one.
Oh, dude, and he doubles down. What?
I'm already in it. Uh, so for the recommendation, like which one that I would actually recommend to the general audiences,
Mm-hmm.
to the LGBTQ plus community, I think I got all the letters there. Bound. To literally everybody, the 13th
Right.
Warrior.
I mean, for sure, the 13th Warrior is for a bigger audience. There is, it's not as narrow of an audience as I think some people would think, but it is a narrower audience than the
No, it's
13th
like
Warrior for sure.
it was even marketed as horror, and it's not even horror.
That's
Like that,
true.
and that is
Yeah.
why a lot of people didn't see it, is because they didn't want to see a horror movie, but it's not horror.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
if it is, it's like horror light.
Yep. It's more of one of those movies that like seems like it's a ghost story, but then turns out it's not.
Mhm.
But they
Which
they
is
could have
why I like
marketed as
it.
yeah. They could have marketed as that because that's not an unknown genre. But yeah, you're right. For
Mm.
some reason, they went full on. Let's make it a horror movie when it didn't need to be. For sure.
Well, I mean, the book was titled Eaters of the Dead, and when they were marketing it, it was at first marketed as a horror movie. And I mean, the fact that it was kind of mixed marketing was a big part of why it didn't succeed. Also,
Right.
coming out the same weekend as The Sixth Sense, when like all the early reviews are like, "It's gonna blow your mind." Like,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was a time. All right, so 13th.
Okay. 13th Warrior. I concede.
I do feel bad, but now you get to have some pretty hardcore revenge on this one.
Oh, really? What do we got next?
Next, we have Candyman versus Dragonheart. So no matter what, I have to choose between something I love and something I love.
Yeah,
That's gonna hurt.
I'm not 100% invested in either of these.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, so which one is the better story? I mean, you know, if it's putting you in a position that you got to think a little bit about your fight, I think that's kind of fun.
Well, let me think here. Story-wise, well, okay, they both were pretty good at fleshing out their backstory and the history of this world that brings them to where they are in this moment. They both did that pretty well.
Hmm?
Um, but again, this brings me to how, like I said before, there were things about Dragonheart which I could definitely see the potential there, what they were trying to do. It just in the moment when I was watching it, it felt like it was falling flat, and I couldn't put my finger on why. I never got that feeling with Candyman. With
No,
Candyman,
Candyman never fell.
everything nailed itself right on the head. So
Yeah, I would call Candyman storytelling practically perfect.
yeah, so
That is true.
I'm gonna go with Candyman on that one based off of hazy memories.
Story wise, yeah. Oh my God, Virginia Madsen's character, like, and oh my God, how bad I felt so bad for Bernadette. Like,
Mm. I was
yeah,
not at all happy when Bernadette died.
no,
No.
that really roughed. And then, oh my God, what happened to that dog? No, yeah, okay, Candyman. The technical aspect, we still got to give it to Candyman because I mean,
Mhm.
literally, like we talked about earlier with the crane shot and the
Right.
bees.
Yep.
How do you beat the bees?
That's the thing. Is like when it comes to technical, Candyman's gonna run away with it every time because of those goddamn bees.
And for a recommendation, I think the backstory behind the character of Candyman actually, like, three for
And
three. I think Candyman
yeah,
wins this one.
I was gonna say, it's like, and I mean, don't forget that yeah, the as far as recommendation goes, Candyman spawned a whole like series of
Franchise.
movies. It's a franchise,
Yeah.
except apparently there is a Dragonheart franchise too that I had never
Neither
heard
of
of.
us. Neither of us
Yeah,
had seen. And
apparently there's like,
I did put out a poll on the YouTube channel,
mhm.
and a lot of people responded to that one. And yeah, Sean Connery got the favorite dragon. Way more people voted for that one than I really expected, and the other one's got a lot of votes too.
Oh yeah, okay,
Yeah, like the one that Helena Bonham Carter played, Sylvie or something like that. That was
interesting.
yeah, and I actually took a look at the dragon. It doesn't look bad. I don't
Hmm.
know how their effects went, but most things the effects did not get better,
Oh, that's a
which
shame.
is just sad. So Dragonheart, goodbye. All right. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, I'm having fun with the semifinals, man. And next up is Independence Day versus Master and Commander.
Oh, damn.
Yeah,
That is
I'm not feeling too good about this one. Hmm. Story wise, which one wins?
I
Independence Day or
mean,
Master and Commander? I'm thinking Master and Commander. I mean, my initial.
yeah. I mean, like that's my gut feeling, but but I'm not 100% sure on that one because I think part of it is that I mean, Master and Commander had that whole sort of like it was based off of a series of books,
Mhm.
one, like two specific books in the middle of the series for starters, and so you've got characters with an already established history that we don't need to catch up on. We get these characters' relationships right away.
Yeah, and the movie did an incredible job of like putting us right in the situation and really making us feel it.
Absolutely, yeah. Meanwhile, you've got Independence Day with like 8 different stories all going on simultaneously, and none of them are getting confused.
It was a good job.
Yeah,
And
like
I mean,
this is a
like,
really tough call on this one.
the only thing was when the president's wife died, it didn't hit me the way that I think the movie wanted it to, and I don't know if it hit other people as hard.
That's
That
a really
that
good question.
I'm a
Yeah.
I'm a little curious about that one. Um, Quaid's sacrifice at the end of the movie, that one hit me here.
Hmm.
Um, the hype of the chase scenes, like when Will Smith and Goldblum are running away from the aliens. I was like really hyped. I was like, I know how it's gonna end, but I'm
Right.
really
Yeah.
hyped up with that. Bill Pullman's speech, I will speak about that speech forever.
Yeah.
That always hypes me up. It damn near brings tears to my eyes. I love that speech. That is, it's a good one, and I care. And I see the thing is like a Master and Commander, I was very uncomfortable with the realities that they showed.
Hmm.
But like Bellum, like we cared about Bellum because of how like much the crew was against him and everything like that. And the movie did a good
Right.
job of making us care about him.
Right.
But we were more curious over what was going to happen between the relationship of the commander and the doctor.
That's true. Yeah.
I
I
don't
mean,
know if we really
and
cared
there was
about that as much as we were
yeah,
curious.
it was kind of more of just seeing things play out and going, ah, so this is what happens in these situations. At no point were we sitting there going like, oh, how does this going to affect this, and can you get out of it? And yeah, like yeah, we kind of could see it coming a mile away and didn't have any desire to see it stop. We just
So I
knew it was going to play out.
think I cared about the characters in Independence Day more than I cared about the characters in Master and Commander. However, the story of that chase when we never even needed to see the captain of the other vessel. Like it was so intriguing, and we didn't even get half of the story.
Yeah.
Damn, Master and Commander did a good job. I, I
I
hi.
keep going back and forth. Every time you open your mouth, I change my mind. Like
It's a rough one. It is like
yeah.
this is a really rough one. I'm gonna pause on the first question. I'm gonna go to the second one.
Okay.
The technical win. I'm
Fuck.
thinking
That's no easier, man. No.
it really isn't. So so Master and Commander really nailed everything perfectly.
Yeah.
Like it has been lauded for how perfect it is, how it nailed literally everything down to when we saw a guy pooping off of the stern of the ship in freezing cold, and you're just like, oh my god, just how like the hell, and like so where you don't really care about any of the specific characters, you do care about all of them.
Yeah. No, that's very true. Yes.
I think I got to give it to Master and Commander. I think that's the one that I got to push for. I think I cared more about Master and Commander.
I am so frozen with indecision. I'm going to agree with you on a whim just because I don't
Okay.
want to make a decision myself.
All right. On the technical aspect, Master and Commander absolutely dominated, but oh my god, the engine new like so Master and Commander did an amazing job of being faithful to reality.
Hmm.
Independence Day did an incredible job of breaking all the
Oh,
ground.
right. It's like selling the fantasy slash sci-fi of it all and making it realistic. Yeah, for sure.
I don't know which
Weirdly,
one is
I
harder.
d- yeah.
Like I don't know which one is more impressive. Like mm, because Master and Commander, they had that ship. It was a real ship. It was really in the
Yep.
water.
Yep.
This is
I'm going to go with Master and Commander on it. I'm going to go with Master and Commander because it's on the water and not on a green screen. and that's
And
harder. And that's it.
but
That's all I've got. That's all I got.
but those explosions, the practical effects that came with that, and how they filmed that, like everything that they did, the ingenuity that came through. I want to give Independence Day the technical win because Master and Commander was very faithful. The challenge was how to film while being in restricted spaces of such tight quarters like that. Even
Right.
though Below Deck was a set.
Yeah, no, it's
That
true.
was a set. Independence Day, they built all those sets, they blew them up, and the risks that they had to go through because they only had one chance at that. And that's what they did. And like, so, I mean, Roland Emmerich, I really want to give him so many props, but Peter Weir, you were so faithful to history. Like, I want to give it to Independence Day because inventing things is much harder than following a playbook.
Okay. I see what you're saying there.
But how perfect Peter Weir did.
You got to stop talking, man. Because every time you open
the
your
movie
mouth, I
fight
change my
isn't
mind.
just between me and you, man. Yay! Woo! I want to.
I mean,
I can't. It has to go to Master and Commander. It has to. The technical aspect. It's just
okay.
how faithful
I'm
the
gonna-
fact
yeah.
everything was real. It's just
because I
hands.
honestly cannot decide. They are both right neck and neck for me. So I'm just not gonna put up a fight on either of them and just go.
I
With
am not
whatever.
okay with getting rid of Independence Day. That hurt. That hurt. But this next one is not going to be as tough.
Okay.
All right.
What do we-
This next round is Requiem for a Dream, which I think we know how you feel about that one, versus Secondhand Lions.
Okay. Now we got a fight on our hands here.
I mean, barely. How much you think I'm really going to fight here? Come on, man. Secondhand Lions is one of my favorite movies.
It's a fantastic
Which one
movie.
did you care about more? Yeah, my heart ached for Requiem for a Dream, like all three of the four of the characters. Secondhand Lions, I was invested in everything, everybody.
Yeah,
absolutely. No, that goes to Secondhand Lions, hands down. The technical win, man, there's no way I'm gonna like you. Even if I wanted to fight for Requiem, that's not even worth.
two movies melded into one. I mean, come on, yeah.
Secondhand Lions, that's incredible. The one I'm recommending, Secondhand Lions, it's too easy.
3 for 3. Yep.
Yeah. I told you Requiem was not gonna make. Okay, so we have 3.
I feel better.
So which one? We got to kind of give one of these 3 just an automatic gimme for the final round.
Okay.
And that is Titan. Remember the Titans, Tombstone, or the Illusionist. Which one do you want to fight over?
Wow. That's I'm gonna say we should give the Illusionist the gimme, only because I don't see it winning against either one of those movies, and I do not want to fight out those 2 movies.
Okay, then let's cut the Illusionist as like the third runner up and just kind of give it the third runner up.
Yep.
And then we'll go Titans versus Tombstone.
Oh man. Oh.
That.
Oh man. That is
I bet you feel about as good about that as I do. Based off of how this fight has gone multiple times already.
And these are both historical pieces. That's the crazy thing. These are 2 based on a true story period pieces.
So, which one did we care about more? Automatically is going to remember the Titans. We've had that fight. We've already proven that with Tombstone. It's got to go like technical aspects.
I agree.
Perfect Western versus what may be the best film I've ever seen on racial segregation. Not slavery,
right?
Not the civil, right. Like those are different things. Even though segregation happened at the same time, I'm talking 2 different things.
Right.
I don't know if I can think of a civil rights movie that actually entertains me and hits me just as hard. Like, it is a perfect balance.
And it is an interesting perspective too. what I found, and it's one you don't get a lot, because usually in these um, segregation films, you get this sort of obvious one side versus the other side. That's not what this movie was about. This movie
Mhm.
was about the people caught in the middle of it, who really didn't want to take sides if they could. You know, they were like, "Hey, we're not white, we're not black, we're a football team." And then first, how they became that, which was interesting because they were white versus black until they were forced to spend camp together, and then they were like, "Now there's no white, there's no black, there's a football team." And then they get back home,
And
and
then
all
there's
of a
white and
sudden,
black again.
right, exactly. And now everyone's telling them, no, you got to pick white and black. And they're like, oh shit, like we just went through this and nobody else did. Like, oh shit, like this is still an issue. Like we thought we solved this at camp, and no, we didn't. And which is that's a perspective that is like literally never portrayed in any other movie. It's always like the revolutionaries versus the power the power structure.
And then once it changes, we're good. Like
Right, exactly.
this was not that.
Yeah,
This was
exactly.
constantly people in the mix trying to make things exist and everybody stopping them.
Yeah.
Like that was like this
I
was
think
really
that
like mm.
yeah, I think that's where like Titans kind of wins it out, I think, because
but
as
but Tombstone is the perfect Western.
it is the perfect Western.
I mean, and we've talked about this. It has been over 20 years and they have not remade this.
No, that's true. But I think that's kind of thing because it's like, well, and like we've talked about this before about how, like, well, you mentioned it is an American legend. It is not a accurate story, and it's not even about putting a perspective on what
Pretty
happened.
accurate.
It's pretty accurate, but well, like even you said yourself, this was a thing that like was when we did the episode was really enlightening to me. The fact that they whitewashed the Cowboys in order to take the racial element out of it,
Mhm.
that changes a lot of the tone, and that
That
kind
is
of took,
true. That is true.
you
Like
know, and
they didn't
so
actually let the Cowboys all be Mexicans. Like they actually did. Like they had, oh God, was the guy from Wings? He was one of them.
right, Thomas Hayden Church, right, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah, and so that's the thing is like whereas it is the Tombstone is the legend version of the legend, whereas
Remember the Titans is
Remember the
just what
Titans,
happened.
yeah, and it gives you like a new perspective to a very 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 old argument that for some reason is still ongoing.
True.
um
I think so. Remember the Titans win story wise. I would recommend Remember the Titans over Tombstone because I think it's a more important film.
I mean, you're not wrong, but God, that is a tough call to
That
make,
is
isn't it?
it. Is. Like if somebody asked me to pick between these two, I'd say make enough room for both.
Exactly. Yeah. It's double feature night is what I'd say.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. But
um,
for
but
the
yeah,
context of the finale,
yeah, I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna have to go with Titans on this one. Yeah.
all right,
So we
Titans it
got,
is. Whew, that hurt. In the finals now.
oh, that wasn't the
And
finals. Oh,
nope,
okay.
that was the semifinals.
I thought that's why we were declaring Illusionist third place
Nope,
was because it was.
that's why no, that's why I was saying like whichever one, that's the one being carried over to the finals.
Oh, oh, I chose wrong in that case. Because Tombstone definitely beats the Illusionist, I'd say. So we
and I actually would agree with you there, which is why I let that happen that way because I'm like, no way, no, like I mean, like we're doing two American historical pieces. That makes sense.
Okay. All right. All right.
That was hard.
Okay. Carry
That was
on.
hard.
Carry on.
All right, 13th Warrior versus Candyman. I might need a second to actually collect my thoughts on this one.
Yeah.
So, who did I care about more? I would actually say Virginia Madsen's character over Ahmed. I would. I feel pretty confident saying that.
Okay.
Um, Actually, the bulk of the characters I cared more about Candyman than Warrior.
Okay.
What about you?
I mean, I felt when it came to the story, if we're talking story wise and our investment in it, and
Hmm.
the fact that both of these stories were about creating a tension regarding this undefinable threat and the attempt to do something about it. And you got Ahmed, who's kind of like dealing with that on top of a fish out of water problem, and the fact that he doesn't even speak the language
At first.
at first. Yeah. So we've got this, basically the idea is building of tension against a threat and how it's going to be dealt with. Between those two, I was more invested in Candyman.
Agreed.
Even as I am not a horror fan and was intentionally like, you know, kind of taking a step back on this one. I was playing SimCity on my phone at the same time, so I didn't like, freak out too much.
Oh,
Even
right. I
then,
remember you saying that.
yeah, yeah. So even then, uh I was more invested in Candyman, even with half watching it, than I was giving my full attention to 13th Warrior. So
Okay.
I'm gonna give it to Candyman on that one.
That's fair. I'm not gonna fight too hard because can't. The technical win, I have to fight for 13th Warrior.
Oh, really?
Candyman did incredible, like with the bees, everything like that. But the fact that the crane was in that shot,
Okay.
that's like
Two. So
that's where we
between the
mess up.
two technically perfect movies, the one that had the one flaw is going to lose it
That's
because they're so
kind of
close
how it
together.
has to go because the way that they did the 13th Warrior, where the Vikings' armor was actually eclectic and came from all over the world in different regions. You had the
That was a
Scottish
good
warrior
angle.
wearing
Yeah.
a kilt. You had the guy who was the captain of all the Vikings. He was wearing a Roman warrior's helmet. That was an attention to detail that I thought was absolutely astounding. Um, there's no boom mic. There's no mistakes like that.
No,
The
that's true.
set was so real that Dennis Stroy almost died while he was doing that escape the cave underwater scene.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Like that
Oh,
is
it still like irks me every time I think about it. Like,
that
god
that,
damn. Because
that
yeah,
kind of gets me too, man. Like, and the fact that they used broadswords and how they used the broadswords. The fact that Ahmed was able to sharpen down his blade to create a more accurate weapon from the Abbasid El Caliphate. Like
right, right.
those that attention to detail, the technical aspects, like yes, Candyman, great. The painting was really not that good. And he was supposed to be like this epic, amazing, world class painter and all this
Right.
stuff. And I'm like, somebody's ego got a little big on this.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Okay.
I mean that I mean at this point we're in the finals. I'm nitpicking, god damn it.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah. I'll give you that. Yeah.
So I really think that I have to give that to the 13th Warrior on the technical aspect.
Okay. All right. So that brings it down to the recommendation.
Is it done to the right?
And honestly, I don't know where to go on this one because
I mean,
I
I
mentioned
think we
before
have
that.
to speak. I think we have to speak for general audience.
Okay,
But so here's the thing: Candyman is such a good horror movie
that's the thing. Is
that
like
it
that's
worked on a non-horror movie fan.
it is it. There are horror movies that transcend their genre. They are a good movie first, and they just happen to be a horror movie. You know,
Yeah.
Candyman is one of them. Candyman
Mhm.
is a story above its above its station. I don't know why I'm saying the like I don't know why I'm saying like horror is some like slums of movie making. That's not what I mean to say.
No, but when you're speaking for general audiences,
Right.
most people don't go to horror.
Right, that's true. Well, but it's like okay, it's like we talked before like Independence Day, all right? Technically Independence Day is a sci-fi movie.
Mhm.
There is nobody who wouldn't enjoy that movie, even if they're not a sci-fi fan.
I agree.
Okay, Candyman is that kind of movie. You don't have to be a horror fan to like Candyman. It is, by and large, in and of itself, a solid,
And
good
they're
film.
both and they both play with the aspects of pseudo history as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Well, interestingly, yeah, and it's like you've got 13th Warrior, which is a like a retelling of this Beowulf legend, basically putting under the theory of what if these events really happened, they just got through oral history translated over time into this epic legend of monsters and demons and stuff like that. I know that's not what happened in Beowulf, but bear with me here. So,
Kinda.
um, but
I mean,
but
Beowulf, he fights Grendel underwater for like 7 days or something.
it's a fair point, yeah. But meanwhile, Candyman is taking that um sort of like how ancient legends become the legends and putting that into modern day of the creation of a new legend kind of idea.
Okay.
You know, like I don't know if I'm saying that right. Um but yeah, like how superstitions become, how something even in modern or technical times we can still have that legendary horror and superstition come to life. That it's not something that just that all all the superstitions and the legends that we know of today had to have started somewhere. There's no reason why they can't start anew now as well.
So
Um,
where do you put like which one comes out on top?
I don't know.
You are not good at
Um,
this movie fighting shit. not once we got to the
you
finals.
know, yeah, you know
Fuck.
what? That's the thing, man. Is that you know, sometimes the deconstruction of a film makes it difficult to say one is better than the other. That's why I haven't said that I have a favorite film in
Oh,
like
fair.
30 years because you know there's some that you can't
So
compare like that.
on the technical aspect, it goes to the 13th Warrior.
Yeah,
On which one we cared about more, it goes to Candyman. On
right.
which one I'm going to recommend more, it's going to be the 13th Warrior. That's the one that I'm going to recommend to everybody. Candyman, so that's the thing. If you are not truly fascinated by beautiful storytelling and you're only half paying attention, Candyman ain't going to work.
Mm,
Like it worked on you because you were like trying to pay attention.
you're right.
But like that's the thing. It transcends as a horror film and it transcends this genre if you listen and if you watch closely and really pay attention to the like what's going on, the lore and everything that's being explained to you.
Right.
If you don't, the movie ain't gonna hit you as well.
No,
I
it's
think
true.
I'm gonna
It
give it
is
to
a
the 13th Warrior.
yeah. You know what? I'm gonna yeah. All right.
Oh, thank God,
13.
I'm getting rid of this one. I'm moving forward. That killed me.
Wait,
Oh, oh my God.
hold on.
Okay,
So this is what round? This is the finals we're in right now.
this is the finals. After this, there's only 3 left. And on this round, it is going to be Master and Commander versus Secondhand Lions.
No, 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 no. Why?
That's mean.
Why?
This one is rough. I don't like this one. Oh man, Secondhand Lions is so good, but
it,
so was Master and Commander. All right.
yeah.
Which one did we care about more? We've been over this 3 times now. It is Secondhand Lions.
Yep. Secondhand lines. Yep.
Between the two of these, we care more about the characters in Secondhand Lions. We know this.
Yep.
Now for that technical aspect. Now, here's been the big battle so far. Here's been the real struggle. Perfect adaptation from history, perfect melding of 2 different genres into one film.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go with Master and Commander on this one.
As much as I love Secondhand Lions, I am astounded by what Peter Weir.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
got to give that to Master and Commander as well. But
I think
the
that
one, oh, go ahead.
to me that the deal breaker, the tiebreaker on that one, what makes you know because they're so amazing, what gets it is that um the technical perfection of Master and Commander is more obvious.
Okay.
The
Okay, I'll give you
technical
that.
the technical perfection of Secondhand Lions, you kind of have to be a little bit of a film nerd to
I'll
notice what
give
they
you
pull
that.
off.
I will give you that. That is true.
Yeah.
So the one I'm going for, which one I would recommend, is Secondhand Lions.
I'm
I don't think there's a single person that movie's not going to work on.
No, I agree. Yeah. No, I agree.
Master and Commander, there might be some people, I don't know who they are, I don't know where they are, but there might be some people who don't love this movie.
Right, yeah. There are
But
some people who can't, like, I know, like I said before, I'm not a boat movie person. I'm not a boat guy.
mhm,
There are some people who cannot watch boat movies because just watching people on boats make them seasick. Those people will not want to see this
that
movie.
is true. That is very, very true. And there's also what kind of movie you want to sit down for. There's not there's not an occasion you wouldn't want to feel what
Mm,
Secondhand Lions makes you feel.
correct.
Master
Yes.
and Commander, I feel like you got to be in the right mood.
No, it's true. There are moments of that are kind of rough. You got to make sure you're prepared for it. You don't have to be prepared for anything in Secondhand Lions.
No,
It's
you just got to be
just,
ready to love it.
yeah, exactly.
All right,
Okay.
so Master and Commander, I did not think you would go, but I am surprised.
It put up a good fight for sure.
Oh man. Okay, so Secondhand Lions versus the 13th Warrior.
This is it. The
No, no, no,
chosen.
no, no,
Oh,
no. It's the winner from this and the winner from the next one. That is the championship round.
okay.
Honestly, man, like eighth finals, sixth finals. I didn't want to keep going that, so I just did like whatever. The finals were just going to be the last few. So which one do we care about more? Secondhand Lions. It's not a contest.
No, it really isn't. Yeah.
The technical win,
Wait, hold on. Sorry. I think I forgot what movie was up against Secondhand Lions.
13th Warrior.
13th Warrior. Right. Okay. Then yeah, yeah. I second that again. Yes. Secondhand
The
Lions gets it.
the technical aspect,
Oh God. I think 13th Warrior might take this one.
thinking 13th Warrior.
Yeah.
Which
I'm
one?
shocked. I'm shocked. That's the first time I wasn't immediately on Secondhand Lions. Um,
No, but I do agree with you. But
yeah.
we've gone into it so many times already. I don't think we need to read
Yeah. But
the
yeah.
recommendation now.
Oh, I'm gonna go Secondhand Lions for that one.
Yeah,
Easy.
I would go 13th Warrior because just like there is no time that I would not be in the mood for Secondhand Lions. There's no time I wouldn't be in the mood for 13th Warrior. It is
Okay.
action, it is comedy, it's got it all. And so does Secondhand Lions.
But see, there's the thing. Like I said before, Secondhand Lions is the kind of movie that I think is not only is it good and lovable and important to such a degree that I said, if you are a parent, you must show this movie to kids. I don't feel that
That's
way
true.
at
There's
all
there's no
about 13th
real
Warrior.
importance on the
Yeah.
13th Warrior. That is man, Secondhand Lions. Goodbye
The
13th
thir-
Warrior.
the 13th Warrior has been taken down
Oh, it
by the
lasted.
McCann brothers.
It lasted. It lasted. It lasted a long time.
It really did. I'm impressed. Kind of annoyed because I didn't like the movie that much. But
But you
are any of
can't. You
my
can,
picks are in the finals? Are any of the movies that I brought to the show in the finals?
no, but
This game is
but
rigged.
but only one of mine made it to the finals. Is making it to the championship.
Oh.
Tombstone was an audience.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot about that.
The Illusionist versus Secondhand Lions. Which one did we care about more?
Secondhand Lions. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I'm Secondhand Lions across the board on this one. And it's not an easy thing, but it's true.
Well, I'm gonna fight.
It's
I'm gonna fight you on it
okay.
because the thing that you really have been singing Secondhand Lions praise for on the melding of the two film styles in
Right.
the flashback for Eisenheim when he was a child, the
Oh,
film
that's
gradients.
right. That was even something I pointed out about how
Yeah.
they did the two. Oh my God.
So
That's
the thing
right.
that you have been fighting for in Secondhand Lions is actually still a part of the Illusionist as well.
Oh, and they did do it really well in The Illusionist too. Like it blew me away how well it worked in there.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about that. Oh no.
So the technical aspect, I think I'm gonna give it to the illusionist because the tricks that they brought into the movie like far outweighed secondhand lions.
Okay, sure. All right.
But the performances, like who we cared about, it's the second line. I mean, the performances, everything. I mean, the secondhand line
Right,
was
yeah.
absolutely incredible.
I'm still gonna say that on the third bit on recommendation, I'm still going secondhand lions. As much as I would recommend Illusionist to a lot of people, I would say secondhand lions beats it.
I'll agree with it. I will. I will. I love the illusionist. I absolutely do. Secondhand lions, but we're going for general audiences here, and I think
Mm.
secondhand lions is the one that more people would just love.
Yeah.
All right, so now it actually is the championship round. And
Are you gonna have time to, like, I'm wondering if to build like the tree so we can see an illustration of how this went down to actually like do the, everything at the bottom and what went up to finally at the top, because I'm curious to know at what point, you know, how quickly all of the movies that I brought to this show got eliminated. Like when was the what was the last round where that was one of mine is what I want to know.
I think Bound was the
I
one
think
that made
I
it the
think that
furthest.
was, yeah. And I think you're
All
right.
right, so this one,
Bunch of savages in this town, I tell you.
Remember the Titans versus Secondhand Lions. Here's
I
the championship
don't
round. This
This is the
is this is
championship round.
the this is the
This is the
final one.
but I don't
Three
know, man.
questions. Three questions. Which one brought a story and characters we cared about more? Which one like surpassed the other from the technical aspects of what like it pulled off what it was trying to do better? And then which one would we recommend to future audiences over the other? These are hard.
I don't know. I don't know if I have an answer for any of these questions when it comes to these two movies.
It's a rough
Um,
one.
yeah.
Now, remember the Titans going through again the historical aspects, segregation, the true story. You know what? The true story might actually be the thing that
Right.
takes it.
And the fact, yeah, and it's that, like I said before, that perspective of it that we almost never get that makes it that much more important to kind of like understand that how that story folds out.
And there's
So
no
yeah.
and there is no character in Remember the Titans that you don't either absolutely love or absolutely hate.
Even the ones that I mean, other than like the guys from the bowling commit or the bowling commission, the football league where they screw them
Oh,
over when they
the Hall of Fame thing.
right, yeah. Other than
Yeah.
those guys, even all the other like the girlfriend who breaks up with him because she's like, I can't believe you're hanging out with black people, and he's like, they're not black people, they're my teammates. What do you want me to do? And then but then you kind of like it's heartbreak. You don't hate her. You just heart your breaks for how wrong she is.
Yeah.
And then she does come,
That's a
but
good way
she
to put that.
yeah, but she does come around. At the end. And I think that's kind of so yeah. It's a really 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 tough call, but yeah, I think
I think the
I
true
agree.
story nature makes
The tr-
like Remember the Titans
Yeah.
and the technical aspect.
Well, I think again, interestingly, um, we've got the Disney polish on both of these movies, don't we? Because I
Secondhand
don't know.
Lions a Disney movie? I didn't
I
think
don't
so.
think I don't think it is,
Feels
but
like it.
it feels like it has the Disney polish. I mean, yeah, and it's got that Spielbergian thing I'm always talking about in the storytelling part of it, but in and of itself has that kind of like spit shine to it.
Mhm.
So, but I don't think. But that's the thing is, I think with with Remember the Titans, it's hard to say because part of having that Disney polish to it is kind of what helps make it a family movie, makes it the kind of movie that you can with even with all the hard subject matter to it, it's safe to show to your kids because it's got the Disney polish on it. But at the same time, it kind of does a little disservice to how raw this history truly is. Whereas
It is a bit whitewashed, but that
mm,
is how they were able to tell the story.
exactly.
Like
But
they
meanwhile,
don't
at the
do that
same
anymore. Like
yeah.
now and that's why a lot less a lot less white people watch like movies about racism because it's harder.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's supposed to be hard. It's real, but
But at the same time, I think
it does a
that
bit of a disservice because it actually pushes people away from being able to learn about
really
it.
process it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, with Secondhand Lions, that spit shine on both versions of the story was very intentional and lent to the story in the way it was supposed to.
But then to
So,
toss a little bit extra on there, you got the child actors like powerhouses. Haley
oh
Joel
yeah.
Osment versus Hayden Panettiere. Then you
Oh,
have
wow.
yeah, I
Penitentiary
mean
kind of beats Osmond's ass on that one, unfortunately, I gotta say.
I'm agree with that. I'm
Yeah.
absolutely gonna agree with that. Then you have the older powerhouses where you have um like Michael Caine and Robert Duvall versus Denzel Washington, Will Patton.
Yeah.
Like obviously Michael Caine and
Wow.
Duvall,
Patton
holy
and
shit,
Duvall kind of playing the same character almost in their in
kinda.
the way they're kind of the way they're kind of always talking about everything this way and rah, 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 you know, like they're kind of doing the same thing.
I will agree with that.
Yeah.
I just man, I I want to give it to mm,
I'm leaning towards Lions on this one. I'm leaning pretty hard on Lions for this one.
I want to give it to
close call,
Lions as
but
well.
mhm,
It is wild. Like I almost said, remember the Titans, but I want to give it to secondhand Lions.
yep. Is that 2 for 2 on Secondhand Lions?
No, remember the Titans
Oh,
won
that's
the
right,
first
because it was the
one.
true story. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, so we literally do have to decide which one we'd recommend more. I was really hoping we didn't have to do that.
The importance of Remember the Titans makes me want to recommend it more,
I
but
agree,
the
but
sheer significance and
that's
just the absolute joy of secondhand Lions makes it so
well. Let's think. Both of these movies were these are the two movies that I said out of all the movies that we watched in this series. These were the two that I said if you have kids, you have to show them to your kids.
that's true. That is that is true. That's amazing. Like I'm glad that they didn't go against each other earlier on. But see
Right. Yeah.
that is kind of a thing. Like it went this way because the movies got matched up the way they did. It may
Yeah.
not have wound up this way if it went another way,
Probably. Yeah.
which is kind of fun how that goes. I am giving it to Remember the Titans. What
Yeah.
about you? The true
I
story
ought.
aspect, it takes it. It takes it. It makes me care and it makes me want to push other people to care too.
Yeah. But see, the thing is, and it's not that you're
It's
wrong. It's not
hard.
that
It's
it's not that I
hard.
disagree. It's because for that exact same reason, for the exact same reason that you're saying when it comes to the that getting people to think about our racial history and our race relations. Secondhand Lion does the same thing when it comes to masculinity and manhood.
That's true. They're like, ooh,
I mean,
ooh.
they literally both are important lessons that we are still struggling with in our society today that need to be addressed and need to be thought about.
I feel like we're getting better with the racism. Some people are getting better with racism. Some people are getting better at racism. It's it's a wild time.
It's a work in
Um,
progress, yeah.
always is. The toxic masculinity thing is getting worse. Like
I've seen shades of improvement.
I heavily disagree. I heavily
Okay.
disagree. You go back 60 years, you read books, like all the old guys, you talk about like all the toxic masculinity, like what we call now toxic masculinity. You go back and read books from 50, 60, 70 years ago. They knew back then the ones who were acting like like what we call toxic masculinity now, they
Mhm.
knew them to be jackasses, the fools who like, you know what happens when you go looking for a fight? You find like all of that. Like, no, all of
Mhm.
those cliches of lessons over not to be hot headed and all of this,
Right.
they were taught the same lessons. No, no, toxic masculinity, I feel like that's getting worse. I feel like
Mm.
because after hour, we'll
Right,
actually
yeah,
have to do it
after
this
hour.
time.
Okay.
Remember the Titans.
So you're going to Remember the Titans.
I'm going to Remember the Titans, and I am happy with the fact that Secondhand Lions made it all the way to the second ring.
You know what?
It deserves its spot.
I'm gonna concede for no reason other than I cannot decide, and so because you've decided, I'm not gonna
Rough.
fight you on it. That's it.
It's
That's
rough.
all. That's all I've got. Yeah.
But
So
what that does mean,
it means none of my movies made it to the finals.
and that means
Y'all are a bunch of cultural Neanderthals.
the champion film of our first season, season 1 of Heist, Remember the Titan. Yes.
Remember the Titans.
Oh, God, I love this movie. It's so good. It was absolutely incredible. Cannot wait. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back in about 4 weeks, maybe sooner if we get bored.
Probably will be sooner because I will get bored.
But we're also going to do some special bonus episodes. And in between now and when we come back, we're going to do some coverage over Doc's first 4 books that have been published. And we're gonna dive in on those a little bit. So until season 2, thanks. Honestly, I mean, you gave us an incredible first season. Like, we are much further ahead than we were expecting.
Absolutely.
Like, you guys, thank you. You know what? And I'm giving this quite a bit of praise here. And just like the most ironic thing, Doc did not want to see Remember the Titans.
I know.
For
I know.
years, for decades, he did not want to watch this movie. And
Let
it's
that
our
be a
champion.
lesson. let that be a lesson to everyone out there. You think you know what you're going to walk into with a movie, and you decide before you even see it what it's going to be. Sometimes, half the time, you're wrong.
It'll catch you.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see you for season 2.
Go see the paper.